Like if you're trying to bring this back to your business, then how do you go back and make money? I can show you how to tint a window, but like, how are we selling? How are we using Tintwiz? That type of stuff, that took us a long time to figure out, and that makes your crew so much more efficient. How are you gonna actually take what we teach you and go apply it?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Born to Tint podcast with the Miller Brothers. I'm Ricky, excited to be here with big brother Josh.
Well, what's up, everybody? Today we have a very special episode. We have Erik and Kado with Tintwiz for the first episode in this new studio. Check it out.
What's the V for, Gary Vee? Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
What are we doing with these?
Those are for you guys.
We get to keep these?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Let's go.
Yeah. We need to come here more
kidding.
often.
Huh?
For real?
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you
that's
so
really cool.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
I went crazy during the whole NFT thing, and I have like a box full of those, and
Should
I
I
couldn't
not
think of
open
better
them?
people to give them to.
Oh my god.
There probably were something on eBay right now.
Really?
Well, should I open mine?
Huh?
Should I open
I
mine?
mean, if you want to.
You should do it on the.
So what, you get...
Oh yeah, there is a rare card in there.
We're not. Are we rolling?
Yes.
Probably.
Oh, cool.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what-
welcome
so
to the
if
podcast.
Thank you.
So if I
Thank
get
you for
tier
having us.
one, what does that mean? Is that good?
I
don't know, what's all that
haven't
mean?
read it in a while. I don't
Tier
know
one,
exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah. There's.
See what we got.
You always
Best
want
tier.
I
tier.
forgot
sure.
there's one rare card in each of those. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
This is so hard.
Yeah, the rarest.
Gotta
tier
keep it.
one.
Gotta keep it boxed though, right?
What the hell is my oath?
Well, if
Here.
we're doing, we might as well do this now.
Here you go.
So I've already given you
Yeah.
guys these, but this one's for you.
What is it?
So that's actually the compete and collect cards. That's a whole
Get the
unopened
fuck
box.
out.
Get that right.
Yeah,
Are you
saw-
kidding me?
Yeah, no.
What red dot? Me?
I see.
You're
I've seen
giving
you.
this to me.
I've seen you
Wolfa?
like buy one of
Oh, I don't
those
know.
on
Where's the clicker?
Instagram.
Yeah, red dot.
And I knew
Oh,
you'd
you're
like
saying get it out of there? Using Olfa?
Bro.
Always.
Yeah.
You got it.
And he's missing the snapper.
Thank you so much. Holy fuck.
I've been holding on to a box of them because I'm not opening them anytime soon, and I knew there'd be people that would want them.
Question is, should I open them or keep them sealed forever?
I've been struggling with that myself. I haven't ripped
Oh
a
my
single
God.
box.
So what if you get like a high end card, isn't that?
Yeah, there's cards in there that are worth a lot. That box right now goes on
Oh,
eBay
so-
for
so-
a decent
so-
amount, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Thank you.
No, you're.
I really appreciate that. You got one? I thought I was the only tinter in here.
No. Well, I don't use red dots. Come on now. We know this already.
Oh, you are opening it.
We're doing an unboxing. Okay, but you can't look at
I
all
see
the
the
cards. You
tier
gotta,
one
like-
right there.
That's good thing.
Is it? I don't know.
Is it good?
I don't know.
You gotta
Oh, it
resort
is
to the
tier
box.
One card.
We're doing a live unboxing. VeeFriends
Which
UNO.
VeeFriend is this, Josh?
I think that's the rarest one.
Yeah. Okay, don't touch
Okay.
the corners. Don't
All
touch
right,
the
let me go
corners.
ahead and put this back in the
To get
box now.
Graded and
No,
put in a
don't-
case.
Yeah, don't even touch the paper to it. I've got some card savers in my luggage.
All right.
This is why you're getting cards, bro.
I've got penny sleeves and hard savers.
Gotcha. So when this one just what?
It's just a
the
game
game
now.
mode
You just
card.
like, It's like a little variation.
hilarious.
There's like the rules are a little different. Some of the cards are like only VeeFriends specific. I've played it with my kids.
So you have unboxing.
I've unboxed one. I wasn't thinking. I just
Liar.
Did you film it?
I did with the kids. I don't know if I ever
Nice.
posted it though.
Yeah.
That was
You
when I
definitely gotta
wasn't
post
posting as much. If I did, I'll share it again.
Do you have? Is there anything still with your NFT with your Hangout Hawk? Like kind of.
There's nothing else guaranteed with it other than him building up the IP.
Is there
But
still-
he could
there's
always.
still-
But he's always talked about it. One of the things that he sold me on, as far as NFTs go, was adding utility. The tickets to VCon was like, okay, that people spend a lot of money to go to SEMA. Like you're here for SEMA, right?
Mhm.
Or any type of business conference. Like the fact that he was going to hold that for 3 years when I bought him was like, okay, at least it's worth that.
Yeah.
Mm.
So adding that utility and then the Zoom calls that I got to do, or we didn't do it all on Zoom. It ended up being on the VeeFriends website. It was a pretty cool little platform they set up. The first couple were like Google Meet or Zoom. But it was 5 times a year for 3 years.
And you've done all those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ones you could remember to put on the schedule.
I missed a couple of them.
About
No.
5 times a year for 3 years.
Yeah.
That's legit.
But all of them that I was on were awesome. There was always good advice and questions from other business owners in the group because it's only 125 tokens, and there was only like 50 people actually attending the Zooms because some people own multiples. Gary owns a bunch. So
Wow. So it really is like a little mastermind.
yeah, it was pretty cool. I got to ask questions a handful of times. Every time though, I was unprepared and kind of asked like,
Right.
my last question I asked was actually pretty good. And it was about him being at WFCT and that I would be there, which I ended up not being there.
So sad.
Missing that was pretty rough. But we had a big project going and luckily he brought home the trophy.
It's cool that you guys have
yeah.
2 people that can bring home the trophy.
Yeah.
That's why I wasn't there mainly.
I was
is
told
this guy was
first off that you were
afraid.
mad at me to begin with, but
Me?
you always said I'm
This is
mad,
make believe.
but
what are you talking
you
about?
win. I'm no longer bad. So
I s-
I held up my end of the bargain, so I'm back in good standing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a bummer. I really, but the good thing is we had a big project pending that I was able to actually like close and get going. And then my daughters had a cross country meet in California that same weekend that I would have missed, so I got to go to that.
Yeah,
So,
that's
and one of my daughter's softball tournaments. So
Nice.
like as frustrated as I was while I was there at that, I kind of was like, this is probably where I should be anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about a year ago. You just started this podcast journey, and here we are in a brand new studio. And if you open Facebook, every 4th post is a sponsored ad with both of your one of your faces or both of your faces on it. That's, I feel like, incredible growth in a year, and like, well done. Like, congrats on this studio, and congrats on taking the leap of not only doing a podcast but following through with the podcast.
Oh, that was always my biggest thing, or my biggest holdup with it, is if we were going to commit to it, we were going to commit. Otherwise, how are we going to tell if it was worth doing or not? You know, so it was. It's been a fun journey. I can't believe it's already been a year.
It's not much different than the gym, is it? Like, in the sense, like, the first time you go, you don't know what's going on and you feel awkward and you probably feel maybe like shy or whatever. But then as you're going, you start to really enjoy it, or it gains momentum, or like, what's been your experience with that? Like,
Yeah, I know. I mean, my biggest thing I could relate to is running or jujitsu. Like, same thing. Yeah, exactly what you're just saying. Like, when you're brand new, you feel like I don't belong here. But then when you get consistent and keep going every day, 5 years down the road, you look back and go, dang, like, there's some progress that's been made.
something from Gary Vee that really stuck with me was, he says you can go like wide or you can go deep, like in business. And that idea of going deep versus wide always seemed, was that me?
No.
Oh,
That was the man in charge.
okay. Somebody's ring, I believe, right? Like ring cameras.
Oh, yeah.
All right. That idea of going broad or deep, because once you understand that distinction, it's not just growth. It's not just about doing. It's like, do I do more of what I'm doing? Do I get better at it? Do I get deeper in it? Do I unlock those levels? Or do we just do more on a wide way? And like, I think there's a lot of, like, obviously there's crazy like magic, like going deep, right? Because it's like, everybody can step their toe into something, but like, can you become like really good at it? And then what is like after that and after that? And being a second generation, like, you guys are really deep in window film, but I feel like you've gone pretty deep in content as well now.
Yeah, none of my doing. It's all his doing.
Oh,
when it
that's
comes down
not
to
true
it.
at all.
I just show up and I get handed a mic and what do you want me to say?
Like a true star.
Let me
Yeah.
just.
That's like, what do you think Ryan Seacrest is doing? He's not producing it. He's coming in and taking the,
Yeah. No, the benefits of it. I saw the potential. Hearing him constantly kind of just talk about it, and then also him introducing me into like Gary Vee and then Hermosi and stuff like that, and watching those.
Tint
Wisdom. Absolutely. You definitely inspired us to do this without a doubt.
Thank you.
But like realizing that that's going to be the next step for a business. Like, do I want my business to grow? All right, I have to get uncomfortable. And it's just one of those things that if we start doing it now and it ends up being the thing that's what takes over, having that many years or months, whatever it needs to be, whatever it is, built up already. And like now seeing a year's worth of us doing this with the content we put out and what we've been able to generate from that content, like lead wise and everything, it's like, all right, we're definitely doing the right thing. Let's just keep figuring out how we can just do it better and just keep going deeper. Like you said. Comfortable
is the word. Like, that's the gym thing too, right? Day one, you're totally uncomfortable and you just get more and more comfortable. Yeah. I always get obsessed with stuff, and like if I'm into it, I'm into it. And I've had several obsessions that a lot of them kind of stick, and then I don't know. But I think I apply that to everything. So it's like if I'm focused, like let's get it done. And we've been doing this for so long that not to say that like we've mastered the installation side, but we've done enough of it.
You've mastered the installation side. I
Well,
feel like the trophies can speak for that part.
Yeah, I guess it just does. I feel like I'm always still learning and getting better, but yeah, I mean, we've gotten good enough to get to the point on that where I kind of get the same way with like running or whatever. Like once I get to a certain point, it's like, okay, like what else can we do now? And the business side of it has been where we've needed to get uncomfortable and look for more mentorship. And podcasts have been great. Yours, I've learned a lot from you over the years, whether it's directly from you or someone you had on, being wise to just have everybody from the industry come in and everybody was welcome. I remember the first time we went on yours, it was like, I DM'd you and was like, hey, can we come on? And I believe it was right before, like right as COVID was popping. Was that the first time we went on?
I think so.
Yeah. It was like, my mindset was I was seeing people get in trouble for posting like their feelings on COVID as a business. And I told him like, hey, we got to go on Tint Wisdom and explain our thought process right now and what we're thinking of doing. That way nobody can twist what we're saying. Like text is so low resolution. Rather than making a post, being able to get on a podcast, talk about how we're handling the situation, and then be able to post it to our social media is like, hey, this is going to be the best way to inform people.
Straight from the source.
Yeah. And that was like really why I was like, hey, we got to do this now. And like we did it. And then that I think started getting us comfortable and being on the camera a little bit more. That was definitely like a leap forward.
Yeah. You guys miss installing as much as you used to?
See, I get in trouble a lot still because I'm doing sales. I'm doing outside sales for residential commercial. And if we're so busy that we need to get if we can squeeze another job in and I've got a spot on I've still been getting some installations in, but that's been getting less and less and less.
But no, yes. Missing it? Sure. Absolutely. Like thinking about the time when I was an installer, not realizing that just being able to go to a house, have my box of film, cut my patterns, install the house, that was my job for the day. And that was my only stress. Like not to say that I don't absolutely love what I do now, and very much enjoyed going to the business side because it's everything's all new,
different challenges.
Yeah, different challenges and stuff like that. And but no, like the simplicity of just like this is what I do.
Clogged in, clogged out, basically.
Yeah, it's nice. And then also too, I don't get bugged when I'm on it, like because like auto. Do I miss auto installing? Not so much. I mean, it's fun because of the different challenges of vehicles. Sometimes if we get an old school vehicle that comes in, usually I have to stop doing it because that's the only way my younger guys are gonna learn how to do those vehicles is to do them, and it's gonna take them a long time. But that's how I got better at it. Exactly. But those vehicles are so much fun. Mm-hmm. Like I have a customer right now that I'm waiting for him to reach out to me. I think he's getting something done to the engine, but he has a 65 4-door Impala. Amazing. And he was like, because I had to go fix something for him and take care of something on with his truck at his house. And then he's like, did you see the two cars in the drive? I'm like, yeah, I saw the one that was covered. And he goes, do you do old school cars? And I'm like, absolutely. I was like, is it okay if I take video of it? I'm definitely gonna do content. I'll tint it myself. Yeah. And he was like, absolutely. I'm like, yes. Like it's just those vehicles are fun to do. Yeah. When it comes down to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they're great for the content side.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's the other thing. Like when we've been doing the podcast and being consistent with posting the short clips from the podcast, the success we started seeing from that got us even more convinced to do more content. And then to the point that now like Jordan's full-time content creation. Amazing. And we're trying to get as much out as possible. And it's crazy when you see that you're crazy consistent. And like, even like when we go to these tint events, we all of a sudden have a huge influx in how much we're posting. You can see it in the results of how many new followers, how much activity is happening. So like every time I see that surge from us producing more than we normally do, it's like, oh, well, like we could do that all the time. Let's keep doing more. Like, there's a pretty good return on the investment of just increasing the volume. Even if you don't think the quality is great, the algorithm lets you know if it's good or not.
That was the best thing about Gary Vee when he talked at the Tint Off was everything he was saying. I was like, all right, well, we'll just keep doing what we're doing because that's exactly kind of where we have gotten ourselves to at that point. It was the fact that putting out the organic, and when something pops, it automatically goes to the company that manages all of our Google ads and Facebook and Meta. They put an ad on it, and we start spending money on it. And it's like as soon as anything that pops, It's
Yeah.
like, run the ad, please. And it's like hearing him say that, I'm like, all right, we're doing.
Yeah.
Just keep doing what we're doing.
Just solidifies what you're
Yeah.
doing already.
Yeah, no, that was nice hearing that. Like I told him, I was like, you didn't miss anything. It just been an hour of you just pretty much telling me I told you so. I'm like, got it.
I think what's nice about podcast format too is if you're just getting into like content making, you know, it can be intimidating to sit down and be like, I'm going to record a clip of myself that I want to use for an ad or a post or whatever. And like, okay, let's just do that clip and like judge it. But like podcast kind of lets you sit down for an hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours, whatever. And then within that comfortable conversation, you can find a 30-second clip that sounds really good or a minute, right? Without that like pressure of like start and stop. So it's like kind of like a smooth way to get into content making.
100%. I mean, the way we started doing it through Ryan Pineda was, it was like a package of 4 episodes a month with 7 clips from every episode. So you have enough content to post one thing every day. And then you get at least 7. And that we could probably pull more than that from a lot of episodes. We can even still go back and pull from old episodes and stuff we haven't pulled yet. So we haven't even started doing that yet. Like, that's stuff we're talking about. But it's like, that's the cool thing to see is like, we were only doing 7 because that was the package, but there might be more than that in certain episodes that we can go back and find.
Can we talk about your partnership with Solar Gard and like how they play into this? If it's something we can discuss.
No.
It's you know, what I'm curious about is like to hear more about how you view, you know, look, you have trophies all over the place here. You could carry any brand film you want to carry for Flat Glass. I think any brand would be happy to love to have you as dealers, right? And you chose Solar Gard. And at the same token, you have Solar Gard here supporting you guys with the podcast and so on. So like what I'm saying is like, you know, what came first? Were they support? Did they, you know, how did that work? Because in a sense, like, I feel like them seeing what you're doing is more support's going to be poured in, but like they had to be a good partner to start for you to, you know, like, how does that look?
Yeah, no, Solar Gard. So we've been buying Solar Gard. My dad started buying Solar Gard when it was DTI.
Yeah.
So we've been selling Solar Gard for over
since the 80s.
Actually, yeah, since the beginning of the shop, pretty much. So 40 plus years. So it started off as an organic, just that they were our dealer. And then we've been through all the different time periods of the industry where, like, in my eyes, from what I can remember, early 2000s, it was you were brand centric. And that was across the board. Almost every manufacturer was like that. If you were talking about someone else's brand or trying to sell someone else's brand, depending on how big you are, who you were either shunned and you didn't sell that film no more. And it just, you knew to toe the party lines. When the economy dipped out in 07, 08, manufacturers stopped caring. They were just, thank you for buying film. It was just, everyone was trying to stay in business. So from there, when that loosened up, I think that was the beginning of the industry finally realizing, like, you don't have to be so brand centric, and it started getting kind of looser. And then around mid 2015, 16 era, because even at that time, we started buying, we were using American Standard window films for one of our auto lines. It was just like the whole name of the game was stay in business, keep the doors open, pay bills, keep food on the table. But like mid 2015, 16, like pretty much I would say it was starting to organically happen. And then you hit the scene. And then that really kind of opened it up to give people the, I guess, courage to not say stand up for the manufacturers, but at the same time, it's like, yes, you do. I do need you, but also you need me. Like, without me, you're not going to be able to install any of this film. You can sell it to whoever the hell you want. But when it comes to Solar Gard playing into this, they've just kind of always been there for us, even from like the beginning through the hard times. Even when it was kind of brand centric, they weren't so kind of like one of the manufacturers that was like would shun you. They would kind of look at you a little bit, because even at that time, I think 2012 we picked up 3M for flat glass or auto or Crystal. Yeah, we brought our auto. We were carrying their automotive
somewhere in that time frame.
We picked up
that's when I was in Texas.
Yeah, we picked up one of their automotive lines, and like our rep loved it for Solar Gard because we would have crystalline as our high end, and then his ceramic was our middle choice. Our sales for ceramic went through the roof, and he caught a lot of grief in the fact that we were buying a 3M product. And he's like, dude, shut up. They're buying more film. Mm-hmm. What are you talking about? Mm-hmm. But they've always had our back. And then also most people that are the longest tenured people in the company now in Solar Gard, like we've known them since 2007, which I didn't really realize until we sat down and have a couple conversations. Like, I met you in 07. I was graduating high school. Like, that's crazy.
Wow.
So just that long-standing relationship with them, when we started thinking about this idea, at the time we were a 3M Pro Shop, and I already kind of started having conversations just on not even us changing our auto. It was more like lines of thinking about what's the next step for the business. In my eyes was Academy, because how can I sell to the entire country when it comes down to it, after we finish rolling all this out? I want to be able to sell myself to the whole country. And at the time, it was like I'd won a couple times. Josh had won. It's like, we have something to sell, is training, but now let's have a facility for someone to come to. And if we can throw it outwardly to all the manufacturers, like, hey, you can send them to train here, and then we can build the video log of us training, be able to sell that in the long run. As soon as I mentioned, like, I got like a half sentence into mentioning and pitching the idea to Solar Gard to Steve, and he was in. He was like, done. Don't even say anymore. Let's go.
I mean, something that, you know, like with the big growth that our industry has experienced, and then, you know, you need more staff, right? And when you look at like companies that do it well, like we're just at In-N-Out before here, and you see their staff working like that, and they have an In-N-Out university, and they have a training method. Like, you know, like, I mean, my first job was at a supermarket. Like, they had a training like method to train you to work at the supermarket. Like, but in our industry, there doesn't seem to be much of that in existence already, right? Like, we need to train somebody. It's like, well, you're gonna get trained however that shop chooses to train you. It could be stand next to me and watch. It could be I expect you to figure it out on your own. It could be anything. And what you guys have created here, beyond everything you said, was you've at least, beyond being able to sell to the whole country and all the ways it'll affect the industry, but just even for your own company, you've created a place that you can go, we need staff. This is our training system that is going to produce, I believe, incredible results versus not having a facility like this.
So that was pretty much the most selfish reason why we did this.
Because that's going to be your bottleneck as you grow, right? It's putting staff.
That's it. Now we train our guys faster because we're going to train them in here when we're not having classes.
And you're relieving your bottleneck, and you're giving yourself a system that, like, hey, I can get rid of somebody and I can get somebody new in the door. I can just add to our team, not feel stuck with, you know.
Yeah.
So that was like, if anything, the biggest selfish point for us is that's what we get from this when it really does come down to it, is to be able to bring people in, train them in-house, and actually, instead of here, we have this one rubber seal window, which we had, that was our first training window that we have in another room. Mm-hmm. It was, we would teach, you can only teach so far on that type of window. Like, I want to be able to devote, like, if I'm going to hire someone or bring an apprentice in that's a local, that's looking for a job, and, you know, say the interview goes well, we hit it off, and it's like, all right, I'm going to bring you in. I'm going to mark myself off for an entire week. And that's all I'm going to do is run that person through here, tinting all these windows over and over again. Within a week, I'm going to be able to tell when it comes down to it, like, all right, you're picking this up, you're ready to go. Absolutely. And then for when it comes down to like commercial windows, like the first station, that's commercial windows. I should be able to send you on a job within a week to do commercial windows. Because if you just repeat these steps, and then after you get so many times cutting the film on glass in here, I don't have to worry about like, all right, I've kind of taught you a little bit in here. And now you have to go shadow me for 3 to 4 months to actually get to a point where I can actually let you loose and let you tint. Yeah. If I can turn someone around in a week or two.
And always send out a 2-man crew where that person that's younger, and this is what we've been doing already, is you're going to have a seasoned like lead installer, and then the person that's either apprentice or they've gotten to the point where they're like a commissioned installer. But then you've always got someone there to check, and it's train the trainer type thing, right? Yeah. Like, our guys are training each other all day long.
And what about when it comes to online stuff? What are your plans for that?
So the long-term goal is almost something like Alex Ramos's School Games. We're going to probably use that website or that platform because it already comes built out to where you can sell different levels. So like entry level, say $10 a month, you get access to video content. And that's just us training. And every class that we do, you'll get access to every training class we do. We want to bring in a outside teacher almost every time too. Like we already got the first 2 lined up. It's going to be John Mitchell from Solar Gard, and then Brian Tecklenburg from Tint.
He's another panorama dealer. Yeah. That's another thing to answer the question earlier that you asked about the relationship with Solar Gard. Going to the Panorama Network, like meetups since the very first one where my parents started going, and then we started going with them. I think we're one of the only companies that's still been to every single meeting.
We are the only company.
What's the youngest age that you guys attended one of those?
I think I was 17.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was, it was San Diego. We got to golf. And back then for me, it was just like, I'm going to have fun. I didn't realize what I could have got out of them. till later on. And I started realizing, all right, well, yes, it's fun to go get away for a couple of days and let loose a little bit. But at the same time, there's so much knowledge you can walk away from those that if you actually, pay attention a little bit. And when I was younger, I was a dumbass. So,
Yeah,
but like,
it was
I go
a
to the
fun
golf
party
day.
every time though.
No, it's always a fun event.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we've been going to those since I think the first one was early 2000s. So yeah, so those events are always fun. I mean, you guys were there. You guys were there.
That was
this
my
year.
first one.
We were there in Fort
Really
Worth.
cool.
Yeah, that one, I like that format because that's the first time I was exposed to that format. They changed it last year. And if you go back a couple years prior to that, it was kind of the same format over and over again. And it was a much bigger group of people. It was the whole Panorama Network. It was before Panorama Pro got rolled out. And it was about 100 to 125 people. So it still was a good event. I kind of like how they have, I guess how it's like consolidated down to the dealers that are there or the ones that are giving back to the network, or they're at least willing to have a conversation when it comes down to it. Because unfortunately with our industry, which I know you guys have experienced, there are still plenty of shops that like, if they go to an event like that, they don't open up about anything, how like in their eyes, their procedures or their tactics or anything like that, because they feel like, oh, you're a competitor. Absolutely. And it's like, you can't go to that kind of event, or technically in my eyes, almost any of the events now thinking that. We've already had local tint shops on the podcast. We already have another one lined up that we're going to have him on too. Like,
it's the only way to really grow the industry.
Yeah.
If we're all on the same page.
Yeah. And then we get lucky enough, the fact that we are in a city that is big enough to where when it comes down to it, there's not enough shops here, and let alone there are a lot of shops here, but there's not enough installers in this city to get all the work done. There's plenty of.
That's about to change with this facility, I feel like.
We have so much flack last year. I believe me. That's the other thing. Like beyond training our guys, if we are going to bring in automotive guys, so that because we already had a couple of different automotive guys out here reach out to us, like, hey, when it gets going, let us know. Like, I want to bring them in. I want to train them because when it comes down to it, if we hit it off, I know you're doing your own thing, but would you be open to say I land a huge project?
Help out.
Subcontract, and now I know who I'm hiring subcontract wise because they've ran through our class and we've already started that relationship. Wow. So now we're trying to create that gigantic network. When it comes down to it, like going back to the website, like having the different tiers, you have your entry level, and then as it keeps going up, like say you've been to the class, you've come out here, you've run through it, you have access to the network of all the installers that have come through. Say you land a big job in your area and you're looking for a couple extra installers, and oh, these people went to it, and reach out to them. Hey, I have a huge job. Like if you are that one-man shop that you do want to do the big jobs, but at the same time, maybe your market doesn't call for it, but hey, I'll go to Vegas to go do a couple 1,000 square feet.
Well, you guys have like something like a Facebook group of all the students that have.
So that school.com that Alex Hermosi is promoting, I've been looking at it a lot, and he's got like this thing called School Games going, where every month the top 5 new subscribers, so you got to be in your first month, however much they gross, you win. Like the top 10 people every month win, like coming and doing like a 3-day long thing with him, and the top earner wins something or whatever. He's like turned it into a game, but his whole community of people are showing you how to use School Games to start making money online. If you know something and can teach it, it's completely education based, and it's set up to have, it's got built into it. You can do different affiliate programs and stuff. You can have different tiers of programs. There's people on there that have had success that have made their new one showing people how they did it. So you can like literally go into other people's classes that are already building up their online schools. But you could have your whole catalog of everything basically in through there, where it's like that's how you get in. If you come do the physical class, maybe you get a year or a lifetime. Maybe the first 5 people get like a lifetime access to that, which would have, these are all ideas. It's nothing set in stone yet, but there's all kinds of ways you can play with it like that. And they're on there right now showing you how to use it, and it shows you openly how much the accounts are making. So you can, if somebody's being like based off of what they're charging and how many subscribers they have, what they're making.
You can't have people like fraudulently saying like, look at my Shopify sales. And it's like not real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He thought a lot about it. I think he invested in it and that's why he's promoting it now. He's like part owner in it. But it's really cool technology. So that's what I've been pushing for. Like nothing's completely set in stone on the online side yet.
Yeah, but it allows us with that, because I've looked through it and how it gets set up. You can literally set up however you want from a free entry level, and this is what you have access to. And then depending on how much more access you want, and then you can set up modules that as we expand the academy just from an installer basis into, all right, this is how you use these, this is how you use tint meters, and have a whole module like this is what this tint meter is, and we can put it on. We can do it on our glass, record it all.
Yeah, but make
Throw it up
content
there.
in here too. That's the other synergy. Is like not only can we train our guys in here, we can record us training our guys in here. We can do demos of start putting out some free content now on our socials of us showing tips and tricks for tinners even.
Like,
So.
here's Cody Becker. This is how you use Tintwiz, or this is how we
Yeah.
use Tintwiz.
Yeah,
here's
and there's
the
ways
different
that
modules.
you can have members of the community become partners where they can basically monetize the thing that they're doing to help people as like a tier or a package or whatever. So Cody would be the ideal to me. Like he could literally be in the community and he could run his training people through Tintwiz, like through that pipeline. Like that's just an idea. I haven't even like talked to him about it, but
It's on the way.
That's how
Yeah.
things get created.
yeah,
Throwing ideas.
he's
around.
coming right now. Oh, cool. But I'll get to talk to him before this goes live. So, but
Unless
I don't
Jordan
know.
turns it around within a day because he's magical.
What? Oh, the video. Yeah. The video content.
But anyways, that's like
Yeah.
that's the direction where we're thinking of going with it. Is like if you come to the class, you're gonna have complete access to the whole class, including Q&As, everything. Like record everything, make it so you don't gotta take notes. Maybe if you want to take notes, you can take notes, but you're gonna have video of all the hands-on you did, all the
You can focus
instruction,
on
everything.
the
Yeah.
task at hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look
And then
back
let
on it.
alone even get to the point where it's like you have a question, either reach out to the network or reach out to us.
Yeah,
And
we
you'll
can make
have-
specific video content back on here's okay. This is
Yeah.
your question. This is how we do it. So-
Love it.
And
Yeah.
people in the community could do the same thing for each other. So
Yeah, so that's definitely my overarching goal, is create that network and then also be able to keep adding. Like, this is how we run our business. Like, we go out, we get our measurements this way. This is how we do. This is how we cut our patterns. This is how our setup is. You know,
And
take
the
it-
best part is the proof is in the pudding. You know, the fact that your dad started it and you guys are still here. You guys are growing it. You got all the trophies. You guys obviously know what you're doing. So
Yeah.
well,
It's,
the thing I like about the community part of it is it's like also like in my mind, like very growth mindset for us too. Like we're bringing people in that have like our first wave of people. We want people that have experience in auto. Like some of those guys have been in the industry a long time. They've probably actually already installed flat glass here and there.
Mhm.
They just haven't made it their focus. We're going to learn some stuff from them. You know, like that's also cool too. Like
Yeah.
there's like so many different angles on ways that that there's value being delivered to everybody involved, that it just seems like if we really want to grow like ourselves and the industry, where like can we inspire even people to start making more content by us showing that it's working? Because, and I've said this for the longest time, and now that we kind of have the proof to show that it works, I've always said that I'd go into customers' houses installing my whole life. So I mean, my dad was sending me out on jobs when I was 16. Like as soon as I had a driver's license, I would show up with my buddy from school as my prepper in the summer. Like we can. I totally just lost my train of thought. I did one of Trump's things, and I
The
can't
wave,
bring myself
the
back.
weave.
So I did a weave, and I
couldn't
don't.
weave back.
I weave and I
Couldn't
can't
weave
weave
back.
back. What was I saying right before I mentioned
When
going
we were
out?
16,
The community?
tinting windows.
Yeah.
you were
Yeah.
tinting. You love tinting.
So
Just like the growth
Well, no,
mindset
how you
thing.
haven't- how every customer's house we go into.
Oh, yeah,
they're
yeah.
like, oh, I didn't even know I could do
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
And it's like,
Like-
I would have done this years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah. People always, and he's heard me say it a million times now because
That's
I've heard
amazing.
it so many times my whole life. Like, it's like to me, tint just seems like an automatic thing on a house. But the average person, you could go. We should go do this on the Vegas Strip and make content of it while you're here. What do you think of when you think of window tint? They're gonna say tinting my car.
Yeah.
Or like
It actually wouldn't be a bad video.
we're going to do it before this airs.
You got to do the videos like, you know, when people do the videos like, hey, I found this like artist and asked him if I could do a quick video of his like
Yeah.
art or something.
Yeah.
You got to like find the hot windows and be like, I went in the store and I asked them if I could just cool down their window, get the reaction.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like-
But that was the main idea of like ramping up content on flat glass. Was like, hey, let's let people know this even exists, because so many people don't know it exists
The
still.
education part of it.
Yeah, so like that. So now all of a sudden I'm going on consultations a handful of times. I go on like up to 6 or 7 a day, and I'll have at least out of that many 2 or 3 people that as I'm talking to them, asking them questions, how'd they find us, how'd they find out about window tint. Oh, your Instagram. I didn't even know you could tint your house.
And that's not just because you're making content, but because you're distributing that content through ads for
Yeah.
the most part, right? Because
Our organic is actually massively. That's the crazy thing. So the ads and the organic, that's the other thing we're seeing, like complement each other because our followers are going up, and because we're doing so many reels on Instagram, our reach the last 90 days was 31% ads. And it was like almost 2 million people just on Instagram.
I mean, yeah, what's nice is the ads help you get in front of new people, and then those people follow you, and then they become your organic audience, right?
Yep. So, and then once they're in the organic audience, then they're getting hit by the ads at a discount because you've just told Meta this person's interested in what you do. So Reels right now, in my mind, on Instagram, like, is the most underutilized tool there is because of what percentage of the people it's going to that aren't your followers. Everything else you post, a regular post or story, is just going to followers. But Reels is disproportionately people that don't already follow you. So sometimes they're not in your city, but whatever. That's the cool other thing about the academy is like we also want the tint industry to know that we exist. So if something's tint related and it goes viral, it's probably going to be being seen by a lot of people that already are interested in window tint. So
yeah, no, today was, I think, the first day Josh has actually kind of felt the influence of it's like random person walking up. Hey, it's like, hey.
I was gonna ask that. Have you guys had that on the street or anything?
We've
like
had
in
it
your
at
city?
SEMA today
Yeah.
a couple of times, and I'd seen and heard about him being at like WFCT and random people coming up to him.
At a meeting.
Yeah, and I was like, as we were pulling up to SEMA, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be like we're going to like a meet and greet that we're like advertised as the people to come meet.
Yeah.
There's gonna be random people like walking up to me because of the podcast, and I was like, "Is this real?" Because it's
So
only been a
cool.
year. Like I did not expect it to go this good this quickly.
That's
Like
amazing.
it's been kind of weird. At one point, we were trending in South Africa on Apple Podcast, like in the business category.
Oh, that's
an
awesome.
entrepreneur. We were like, I think 26 entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
15.
it's like
Wow.
I was
That's
like, we got an
incredible,
email
man.
from whoever.
Carlos.
I was
Carlos.
like,
It was the week that
I was
video
like,
popped
is
for
this
me, Tinner Battles.
real?
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, the week.
So that was weird.
Yeah, the week that he dropped the video of me drop rolling that film and it went stupid viral, which like it's up to like over like 20-something million now.
That's crazy.
Like
On like one though, I feel like it's like 100 million with like another one. No?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's
Yeah.
Marcus's
Marcus's
squeegee.
other one. Okay,
That
Yeah.
one went like that one had a slower start, but when it took off, it was like up to 60 to 70, like that,
Wow.
and it was like, this shit's crazy. And that was another thing that really kind of pushed me over the edge. Us going to Tinner Battles, and then that content being put out and seeing it pop like that, and like thankfully we were doing the podcast at the time because like I reached out to at the time I think we just had hired Ryan as a one-on-one mentorship, and like I texted him, I was like, so this just happened, and like what should I be doing? Because like I was like, I know that I should be doing maybe something. He's like, just engage in the comments, just filter everyone back to your pages. So every time someone would make either a smart ass comment or something like that, I'd like it, like thank you for commenting, and then anyone that had an actual question, I was trying to reply back to them. And then like I even like one day like with my son, like someone was asking about like why is the plastic coming off the back. So I came down to the store real quick and shot a quick video. It was a horrible video, and then posted like, here, this is how it's done. This is where the plastic's coming off and all that. And it's like that right there. I was like, okay, this, I understand. I get it now. It made me understand Carlos even that much more too, realizing like, okay, like, you know your shit. Like I understand. All right. Like that was a cool experience. And then one that happened, he sent us the email like, hey, look, you're trending in South Africa. It's like, okay,
Awesome.
that's weird.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that was weird. But yeah, being there today, having a couple people come up, and that was kind of weird. But I mean, we're trying to put ourselves out there and have more people see it. So I guess that's the
Working.
result. Yeah, it's cool though. What's really fun for me is knowing baseball, running, jiu-jitsu. Like, 1 year of being consistent, I got decent, but like 5 years down the road, it's like a totally different thing. So that's what I'm really excited for, is like, now I know like we got our own studio in the shop now. So this is going to continue.
Yeah.
Like, and it's going to only get better. So
Better and easier, coast along.
Yeah, no.
yeah, I don't know about that. I feel like it's just, every problem that you put out or you're dealing with in business is like now you just got a new one to deal with.
Absolutely.
So,
In business, I mean, in this aspect of it, sit down and have fun.
Yeah. Now that it's like, because we literally just finished putting everything in here like this morning. So it's kind of nice to have it.
No, yeah, this has definitely got to the point where it's just, for me, it's a selfish conversation where I'm hoping to get 7 reels from it. And if people benefit from it, awesome. But at the same time, we either get to sit down across from people that we know in the industry that I already enjoy talking to begin with. And anytime I do get to see you guys or see anyone else, it's only 10 off seminars or something like that. So it's not that often. So I get to sit down and have a nice conversation that I wanted to have anyway. And then anyone who's not in our industry, because we've had plenty of people locally that are not in our industry, but I get to talk business with them and just see what their aspect is. And I get to pick their brain. Like I had one of my good friends on, lives across the street from me. I didn't realize he was the COO of what he was running. It was one of the, called Boston Dental. It's one of the largest privately owned dental groups in Vegas. And like talking to him and realizing like, oh, I didn't know that was your job. And I feel like a horrible friend for not knowing that, because I knew he did marketing. I didn't know he made it to that point. And what he runs is they have a whole thing set up kind of like what we're trying to do. Is you have the Boston Dental's part where that's where the customer goes. And then they have 2 academies, one for hygienists and the other one's like for assistants, because they know what their turnover rate is. Wow. So they have people go into their academies, people pay to go to their academies. And then from there, they get the pick of the litter where they can go work where they want, but at the same time, they can make job offers to the best, who they think the best is. And then they always have someone to bring into their store. I'm like, you literally are operating at the higher scale of what eventually we're hoping to get to, is we have the academy to, yes, give back to the industry and teach, but at the same time, I get my pick of the litter when it comes down to it. If someone comes through who's extremely exceptional and like, hey, you want to move to Vegas?
It's a huge business hack.
Yeah. Oh, and I was like, and like when we did that podcast, I was like, okay, it really doesn't matter who we're talking to or what they do for a business. They all have something that we can benefit from when you're just having a conversation about business. So now it's just, for me, it's a selfish hour and a half long conversation I get to have where I get to pick people's brains.
I feel like the best part about this too is during all the events, they're just so go the whole time that you don't really get time to like sit down and have a conversation or talk to people and get to know them. And then these kind of things, it's really, really nice to.
That's definitely like it was kind of the selfish part of it, is like, we just locked you guys up for I know there's other people at the show that want to talk to you too. So like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like that. It's a huge plus. Like, me and you talk all the time, and we're always back and forth on Instagram, but it's still like, yeah, we can sit down and have a conversation.
A win-win all around.
Yeah, absolutely.
You stay like, how much do you guys spend time like scrolling in like Facebook groups for Window Tint? A little, a lot, not at all?
I don't even.
Very little?
I don't use Facebook at all.
No?
Personally, not at all anymore.
TikTok, Instagram?
Instagram is like the only thing I go on.
Yeah.
So I'll scroll through Facebook. I mean, I'll look
like
through
the groups?
Yeah.
You read the posts?
Some.
Is there anything that stands out to you that you see that like, you know, like maybe the phrase could be like, do you see something that drives you nuts where you feel like people are tripping themselves up in our industry often for no reason? Not like specifically. It's like,
that's kind of why I don't go in there anymore, is because that's the thing that I think they're tripping up on, is like the back and forth conversations and beefs and like the time being wasted on that you could be working on your business or work on your business or make a piece of content or like that. To me, like, yeah, I don't know. I've seen there's some good ones. I mean, I'm a moderator in Window Film Pros.
You haven't been in there in a while.
No, like I do get the alerts for the chat, for the moderator chat. I don't know, something about it. I just don't feel like I have the time to be in there. Occasionally I've gone, like recently actually, because he's out here, All Out Tint.
Robert Foster.
Yeah.
Flat Glass Guidance group.
Yeah. I actually just went and like looked through his group recently because I really like him a lot.
He runs a very unique group in the sense, like it's not just Flat Glass, but because it's exceptionally helpful group.
Yeah. That's what I noticed when I looked at it. That one I liked. I like Window Film Pros keeps it like they keep the arguing out of there.
Yeah.
But I don't really go into much of the groups anymore, but I did just check his out recently and I liked it a lot.
I think some of the groups have very useful aspects to them. I like Rob's a lot because it is more like technique and like people trying to help. And I do feel like in that group, however he does it, moderates it, he definitely keeps it to where if like someone's asking a question, that person's not just belittled by half the industry and then the other half is actually trying to help. That would be the one. That's my biggest pet peeve. is when someone's trying to earnestly ask a question and they have to even say in their post, "Hey, I'm new," like pretty much letting everyone relax. Like I'm stuck somewhere, and then you'll get a bunch of comments in there that's just people just shit posting.
It's very unfortunate.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part. When that happens, it's like, all right, that person's actually asking, like they're asking for help right now.
A legitimate question.
Yeah, they're asking legitimate questions.
Yeah. And also, I think, like, not that I don't like them. I think that they're super useful, especially for people new to the industry. And I have seen them be helpful. Like yours, actually, like the Tintwiz community is one that anytime I have looked at it, it's been people helping each other.
I'm not gonna stand for anything else in there.
But I don't know. I think we've been doing it so long now, and we got so many connections, and we go to so many events. Yeah. If I've got a question on something I need to know, I'm calling the source. Like I'm calling Chuck Cochran. I'm calling you. You know what I mean? Like, I have the ability to just straight DM somebody or call somebody that I know knows more than me on that particular topic, and it just seems a lot more. Let's figure this out right now and not make it a group discussion where 50 people that don't know what they're talking about chime in.
Yeah, you're making me think of like, I think one place that people do go wrong is like you're saying, not going to the source. If it's a question that's very specific to like your manufacturer, go to them.
Yeah.
And ask them.
Yeah.
Or bring them the problem or whatever, because I feel like, definitely like airing it out sometimes on like social media. I don't know that that's like necessarily helping anybody.
So
get to the like. Yeah.
If you're new to the industry and you don't have the contacts that you guys have, where would you suggest?
No, your manufacturer. They always have
other than the manufacturer.
Okay. They always have the manufacturer.
Manufacturer's a big
trick,
great
install trick, tool, like anything. You know, all the like noob questions.
I would, unfortunately, for me, that the answer to that question is I'm hoping that you have a manufacturer that you'll
support you.
That you'll have a rep that is hopefully trying to organically grow you. Because that, if anything, is something where you definitely see there are obviously the bigger dealers. They are shown more love in my eyes. But also I understand the nature of the beast. Like when it comes down to it, like they're buying X amount. Like I understand why they are technically almost kind of, I'm not saying getting favored, but are getting a little bit more attention. But at the same time, you have to start somewhere, and you start at a smaller dealer and work your way up. Like. Going back to almost the partnership with Solar Gard, like I've kind of never really have felt, at least from the reps we've had, that like we weren't like just hey, you're just a small shop or whatever. They've always made us feel like I can call anyone within Solar Gard, and that's happened since we're a much smaller shop to where I don't have to necessarily go through my rep. If it's someone else I knew within the manufacturer, I could call them and they'll answer the question for me. And that's even so much more true now. Like when it comes down to it, like. I talked to my rep, Nick, I talked to him, but at the same time, like if I have a certain question where I know where everyone's, I guess, strengths and weaknesses are when it comes down to it. Like if I'm asking a technical question, I'm calling John Mitchell or Miguel. Those are the two I'm calling in the company. I'm not going to waste my time, but like I'm going to call my rep to have him call them. And it's like, no, I can just go straight to the source when it comes down to it. And they're completely open like that to where I'm hoping you have a manufacturer that your rep wants to take care of you in the sense, at least pointing you in the right direction. At least you should be able to call your rep and say, who within this Facebook group should I personally reach out to? And that rep should be able to tell you like, hey, this is the person I would talk to. So then you can directly ask that question without having to air it out. Cause that's definitely probably the thing that a lot of people don't even post in those Facebook groups. And like I've went to reply on comments or like someone's post, I'll get something typed out. I'm like, nope, don't want any of it. Because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to send it. And then what's going to be connected to that?
You've made a multi-day commitment. To like it's just defending yourself, following up with it.
The time suck aspect of it's the thing to me. Yeah, totally. That's it. Like
so one of the biggest things would be to make people comfortable reaching out to their reps.
The rep, yeah.
Because one thing when I got into the industry was I was scared to reach out to my rep, not because they made it uncomfortable, but because I didn't want to seem like I didn't know enough to not have their business. So that was a scary thing for me. So I just watched lots of YouTube videos because I didn't like doing the Facebook thing because you'd get the whiplash from it or whatever, the lashback. What do you call it? Backlash from it. And then I didn't want to reach out to the rep because I didn't want to seem like, well, now I'm with Solar Gard. They're going to think that I don't know how to tint a back glass or something. Or,
the reality
or
is the rep wants to sell more film. So if they can help
they
you
want to
sell
help
more
you.
film,
Absolutely. I know
they're
that
in.
now.
That's like, right. That's the 100%.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know that now. But yeah, definitely one thing that people should know is, definitely find a brand that is willing to help you, no matter what the question is.
Yeah, they should treat you as a partner, because that's it's a partnership.
They all
That's the
win.
thing that Solar Guard's always given us. That's the thing you've always given to us. Like if I have a question about anything, it doesn't even have to be about how to use Tintwiz. I feel like I'm calling a business partner is how you respond to me, and it's always felt.
I try to
It's always
tackle everything, right? I mean,
it's always how it's felt. Is like, okay, I always like apologize, and you're like, dude, don't do
Part
that.
of it.
Yeah.
No, you were one of the first people I called when it came down to when we were kicking the tires on which kind of direction we were going to go with, technically partnership with manufacturers and stuff. And just like, I talked to a fair amount of people within the industry from different manufacturers, stuff like that. But you were like one of the first people I called to bounce the ideas off of. I just wanted to hear your feedback. And like, it helped tremendously.
I appreciate that.
I really do. Like it was, like having that open dialogue, I think is something our industry has been lacking. And I definitely feel over the past, say, 5-6 years, it's definitely the culture has completely changed to where it's, and I think the manufacturers have taken the hint too, in the fact that it's like, again, like, yes, we do need you because we need the film, but at the same time, if you don't have anyone to stick the film, don't know what to tell you.
Well, I think it's gotten even better than that. I think Solar Guard was already kind of good at it, but I think definitely the tidal wave that you started, it's realizing like, let's help build people up, right? Like, let's help build the community up. And for the manufacturer, who better to build up than your dealer network? Like, put time and energy into making them better. And that's what the Panorama meetings always were. It was always centered around learning. Like, we'd have some fun and drink at night and stuff, but there was actually a lot of really good opportunities to learn a lot while you were there. And everybody seemed to be very specifically there for that.
Yeah.
And the fact that people were a lot more comfortable sharing tips and tricks with each other, knowing that you're in the same dealer network, that everybody has their own locked off territory. And that was more comfortable. And that wasn't common in the industry at the time when we started going to that. And now it's become common for everybody nationwide to just be following each other on Instagram, sharing tips and tricks. And that's definitely come since you hit the scene and started kind of paving the way.
It's a Gary Vee thing that I think he rubbed me in the right way with that. But like, it's, I feel like, there's a lot that he's instilled and shared that like makes, like, takes like adds relief. And like one of those sayings like is get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So when you absorb that, and it's something you kind of said at the beginning about being uncomfortable hearing it at first and all, it's like, if you absorb that phrase and you're like, really like, wait, so I could get comfortable with the feeling of being uncomfortable. I could actually like the uncomfort feeling, because as I'm doing something, it's like, okay, so then what am I afraid of? And it's kind of that same thing with like sharing knowledge. Like, when you go like, hey, I'm going to put it out there and I'm still going to do better. I'm going to earn my place, right? If I'm better, I'm going to be better. But if I'm not, then that's what it is, right? And like that to me, like it's like this relief of like fear of like, oh, I've got to keep it within. Like, no, I put it out there, see what happens, see how good you are, right? Like, you're gonna bring home a trophy. Don't bring home that trophy by not letting other people compete. Like, come on in, come compete, bring your best. Let's see where we're at. Like, I feel like in business, that's a sense of confidence that helps you move forward as opposed to holding back and tightening up.
I feel like a great example of that too is like the gym, right? Like everybody knows how to work out for the most part. Not everybody's bodybuilders or ripped or anything. So it's like the secret's out there. Just got to get a membership and go every day.
Yep.
And you don't do it.
Speaking of every day, there's a competition. There feels like there's a window tint event almost every day, and I'm curious because it's like for a while there was like just WFCT, right? And then it just was like there started to be these other events that really, to me, like enriched the community. Not that WFCT wasn't, but like because WFCT is like a core, like a foundation of industry events. But now these other events popped up, and it's like beautiful getting to see people. Like, I don't see you once a year, I see you 3 times a year, I see you 4 times a year. Then there's the flip side of it, which is it's expensive to travel to these events. It's a lot of time off work. The events sometimes are 3, 4, or 5 days between travel time and competitions. And some people will say, I love going out there and competing. Others will say, I just need to be focused on my job. I don't need to prove anything to anybody. As multi-time first place championship winners and people have competed in multiple categories. Like, where are you at in the world of competition now that there are these multiple events? You've won quite a few of them. How do you feel about this? Where do you feel about this? Because you have a super busy business, you have an academy, and then you still have these trophies somebody has to go collect. So,
I mean, you can't get any more shelves, honestly. So you got to stop now.
Where's your feeling? Because like I look at it and I go, well, on one hand, it was like an amazing growth and like community that it provided, but you start to also see this like kind of a little bit of like a retraction where you're like, oh, this might be too much, or what do you think?
I'm definitely at a point where, at least with WSUT, I wanted to end myself back to back. Like, I'm good, I'm gonna walk. But then he wants me to.
Yeah, he ducked me this year. He doesn't get to duck me the last time he's ever going to compete.
So there could be like there's going to be Miller versus Miller.
Reno, it's happening.
Reno, it'll happen.
We're probably going to bring as many people as we can from the entire shop.
My plan is I want to close the shop because it's in Reno. Traveling from here to Reno, it's a 1-hour flight. It's something where we can send everyone like the morning of the meetings and stuff like that. So like when it's on the East Coast, we have to sacrifice an extra day to make sure we're there for the meeting. So it draws it out even longer for us. But I would like to bring the whole company up there. I think it'd be a fun event. It was the first time I won was in Reno. It was in 2015. So it's 10 years later. It's back in Nevada.
Yeah, he's going to lose to his brother.
Yeah. All right. We'll see about that. Well, the cool thing is too.
That's the promo right there.
But when
we're in Vegas, might as well gamble.
When it comes to like the competition stuff, I do enjoy them. I would like to win one other one besides just WFCT. I feel like it just to where it's not just I'm doing the same frame over and over again. That's why I've gotten so good at it. But that's how you get good with everything, especially even within our industry, is it's repetition. Like when I am showing up to those competitions, like I know what the size of the window is already because I've done it so many times. Mm-hmm. I have the measurement of the top window because I wrote it down because I was hoping that I can make it back there. And anywhere I can shave time gives me extra time to make sure my quality is that much more on point. Like I have a plastic pattern for the finals window for WSUT. I know that's useless now because they're changing the systems. So
anybody listening should take notes
next year.
Yeah, I did that the year I won. I did it the first time we ever did it was the year I won.
No. I already had I used that. I had it from the year before.
The measurement. No, I made my own.
I know because you called me. I told you when you made the finals, I called you and said, hey, here are the measurements.
Yeah, but you
for the
still
final
did it.
window.
You do a factory top when you did it.
Yeah, the first time I did.
Oh.
In Reno, I didn't. In San Antonio, I did. When you took second.
Oh.
Remember?
Yeah, I remember when the only person to beat me was my little brother. Yeah, I'm okay with it. Ego is a big thing of why we got into it. We've grown up playing sports and want to win, and we're competitive. So that's definitely kind of answers your question a little bit. That's definitely where it started.
Oh,
but then I think we noticed after he won the first one how great a PR thing it is too, right? Yeah. For the business.
It's not bad for your film manufacturer either, right?
Yeah.
Like as far as your relationship with them, like, like there's a lot to it.
Yeah, totally. And once, I mean, they were already, I think, sponsoring us to go at that point.
Reno, that was the first year. I don't think it was the first year they sponsored. I think it was the second year they sponsored us.
So, like, Solar Gard was already sponsoring us to go. Like,
I had a little back and forth with someone at the time. He's no longer with Solar Gard anymore, so I got no problem sharing the story. He wanted me to wear their shirt, and I wore their shirt during the auto competition, and I hated it because it wasn't my shirt that I tinted in every single day. And at that time, I was just an installer. I'm used to my shirt. My OFAs go in my top pocket. This is how I install because I had another manufacturer on my shirt. So I literally put my shirt on the next day before I went to flat glass. I rolled my left sleeve up to cover up the manufacturer. I said, "Is this good enough for you?" He said, "Yeah, that'll work." And then because which I didn't know this was going to happen. Obviously, I didn't know I was going to win. Ended up winning. And on the cover of Window Film magazine is me cutting my window with my arm extended. And guess what's dead center on this magazine? Solar Gard and Panorama. I took that magazine when I went to SEMA. I was like, "You're welcome." I handed the magazine. I was like, "You got front and center. Good thing I wore my shirt, right?" And then I was a lot more cockier when I was younger.
I love how you told that story.
Oh no, it proved my point. I want to be comfortable when I'm installing it.
This year, you guys always have your jerseys, and we made Tintwiz jerseys for like the competitors, and I didn't make them for you at first, like for either of you at first, and then the first round, and then because I'm like, you have your own jerseys, and then I thought about it. I'm like, well, I'll still make you jerseys. Like you can wear your own jersey, but like still give it to you. You could still not wear it, do whatever you want with it. But like, why would I not make it for you? Just whatever. So I gave it to him. Ricky's like, some of them was like, do I have to wear something? And I jokingly was like, yeah, you have something like that. And he's like, well, it didn't work out for the last company that said I had to wear it or something. And the hilarious part about it was The jersey he's wearing says Tintwiz across the back, his jersey.
Yeah.
The one I was giving him had Tintwiz like this big. So
Yeah.
I'm like, please wear your jersey. It's like way better.
Well, I just got my bag since I didn't go. Who did you send that, or did you send that?
We sent it from like the castle.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
came from
you.
the castle.
And
You're
so
welcome.
I've got that jersey. I should have worn that jersey today. I wasn't
No,
thinking.
no, no. You wear your jersey.
No, I
Your
should.
jersey's more Tintwiz.
No,
than
those
our
are sick
jerseys,
though. I
but-
really appreciate it. And I'm
So-
loving these sweaters. These are sick.
I can't.
It's
Oh,
like a
thank you.
Halloween limited edition.
So yeah, this was kind of something that we did through like Halloween for a post. But what I'm really excited about is like our plan that we've kind of laid out like for the next year, which is, I mean, I would say it's going to end up further down than that, but like at least this year, like kind of going down that Gary Vee route and using like we've already developed characters throughout the year and like honing in those characters and then using that Gary Vee style like post style and building up like how he did VeeFriends into those characters, not to sell NFTs, but just to communicate messages, right? And like create content, communicate it in a fun way.
Yeah.
So
that'd
this
be
is kind
awesome.
of just the very beginning, but we're
Yeah.
drawing this whole like back end.
Yeah,
of-
and you got the
of
blueprint.
characters.
Dude, yeah,
And-
the
and
VeeFriends
you're-
model.
works.
And
Yeah.
what really got me was it's not like, oh, Gary's doing it, so I want to do it. It's
Yeah.
I'm looking at these posts, they're stopping me, and I'm swiping and reading them start to finish. There's a tail of like a donkey, and I'm like, what's on the other end of this tail? And I'm reading.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, if I'm this engaged in VeeFriends, like I feel like I look at more VeeFriends posts than Gary's posts. Like if there's a Gary post, I'm probably like, I consume every VeeFriends post now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that to me, I'm like, okay, yeah,
It works.
proof's in the pudding right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
You know? So I do like
That's
it. but
awesome.
It's just the
I'm
beginning of the
excited for
characters.
that.
Oh, that'd be
We
awesome.
were talking about it a little bit at SEMA, and I'm super excited, especially because I think technology now is going to make it pretty quick.
Right.
Which actually goes back to the first time we had you on, and I asked you the question, I think then on Chat GPT and AI type integration
Yeah.
in Tintwiz.
Mhm.
Is
So-
there anything coming or?
Yeah. So, okay. AI wise, there's a tricky thing with AI in the sense that it's absolutely the future. There's absolutely going to be unbelievable amount of things within Tintwiz that are done through AI. But I am kind of a believer also in like timing and this moment where ChatGPT is right now, what it can do right now and everything associated with it, doesn't quite feel like the right time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mainly because things have to work 100% of the time. I know that might not sound like you're like, wow, it could work 98% of the time, but we really are like 100% of the time. And we're finding where AI actually fits in and can do that 100% of the time and where it kind of will leave you with wrong answers some of the time. So like, I'll give you an example, like a cut sheet. Doesn't that seem like the best thing to be figured out through AI?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like things like that, like a
Yeah.
cut sheet,
Yeah.
like content creation out of a project into a blog post or into
She just gave me an
content.
idea to try to do that on my own.
Well, but
Wh-
that is a simple thing
Yeah.
kind of is
Yeah.
like using it for that.
Feed the
And
sheet in there and
So-
give it the parameters ahead of time. It should give you back the right result, right?
Yes.
It should.
When it just depends on the level of complexity you want to get to.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly
Yeah.
not as exact as you would think, which is strange, but it's getting there. So
I would take an 80% response for a cut sheet with like feeding it. These are the roles I have, size
Mhm.
roles I have. These are the windows you need to cut. What's the most efficient way? And even if I could go through there and figure out how to do it 20% better, I would take that because passing that along to the guys, like when I see 27-inch windows, I instantly in my mind, it's 5-foot roll. And like in their measurements I can look at and I'll piece it together in my head pretty quickly. But I also have 20 years
So
of cutting
Right.
patterns.
So a question I've got on the AI part
Mhm.
is like, I know like the end of like being able to do any question like that does sound complex. But what about like a baby step the same way like inventory was like our gateway into Tintwiz, but like if even like something like just have the ability to like have a chatbot accessible just in like analytics. To where you can talk to analytics in a way that it's a chat bot that can give you back custom analytics that aren't.
That's kind of a good example. That's a great example actually of like what I was trying to kind of communicate. There's also examples of like, you actually brought up like the concept of being able to, speak to Tintwiz and say like, do this, do that, check that, like run that, like basic verbal commands to navigate and get feedback out of Tintwiz. And like, that's one of those things where we could spend a lot of time building it and integrating it with something like ChatGPT, and Apple's going to put it in their next iOS, built in those functions that we can just integrate with the app.
I get you.
Makes
No,
sense.
that makes total
So what
sense.
I'm trying to say is like, we could spend a year, 2 years, unbelievable resources going like, hey, we need to build this, while we kind of know that this is going to be an update. And when it's an update, what we spent all this time and whatever is going to be worthless. And then we're going to have to redo it that way. There's kind of these like steps, like, anyway.
Or another company creates a third-party app that you can zap to it and it works instantly.
And that's like, the other angle as well, is not building, like we've had to become very, okay. And especially just to give some transparency, in the last year and a half, like Tintwiz has grown, and like, thankfully, like, thank God it's grown, especially in the last couple of years. And like, we've had to do a lot to make sure that it's still as fast as it is. And there is no, like, you don't know it's grown. Like, you're using it, it's just as fast. It's faster than it was 2 years ago with less users. I'm just saying, like, we've spent a lot into that maintenance. We're looking far ahead. Sometimes people get like criticized, like we'll get a little bit of critiques on Facebook groups where it'll be like, we don't understand why you can't build this or that and whatever. And like, the reality is like, we're working every single day of the year. We have to look ahead. We have to do the things that we feel are going to make our users long-term happy. It's not for us about shiny features to sell new users. It's not about us to say like, hey, you can do X, Y, Z. This is why you should use it. But then once you're using it, you're like, well, that doesn't really work. And so on. So what I'm saying is like, we have the long-term in mind. We're not going anywhere. We have to really focus on like the things that will be adopted by the most, will have the biggest impact by the most, and have the least chances of becoming tech debt in the future, meaning something that either we can't support in the future because it becomes a mess or unsupportable, or something that just doesn't work. Because that tech debt essentially, and now I'm kind of getting into the weeds, is like, you go into Tintwiz right now and like, you can use it, you know where everything is, and you could probably use it with your eyes closed and you feel very comfortable with it. Yep. The more things that we say, well, what about this? And what about that? And what about this? Potentially that can get extremely messy. And then Tintwiz becomes like every other app where it becomes clunky, confusing, hard to navigate. Features that, well, that was a good one, but it stopped working, or we don't really use it because it doesn't, so on. So we're just very careful. We're not about flashy items. We're about supporting the users. And, like, there's funny because there's a post today, and there's a post on Facebook today, and there's 2 posts. Okay. And at the same time, within 1 hour, there's 2 posts. One post is talking about something in Tintwiz. If you want to send out like an invoice to multiple people, you have to put in the other address and then hit send. So you send it with the address, and then if you want to send it to somebody else, you put in their information, hit send. So that's an extra step, right? And this person is considering not using Tintwiz any longer because they're frustrated with this extra step. There's another post where somebody posted screenshots of their approved proposal, and it's over $250,000 in approved proposals today. Yep. So you go, well, I understand that extra 30 seconds or whatever it is to paste that email isn't ideal. But like you were kind of saying, like, in the sense of like, focus, you just get to work, like I'm too busy and so on. Like, that's the little picture. The big picture is, what could you do with what is in there right now if you utilize it to its full capacity. That's like also a challenge for us to communicate out there, right? But with all that said, something that I'm extremely excited about is the partnership that we've launched with Solar Gard, to where we're putting out a Solar Gard supported version of Tintwiz, where Solar Gard said, hey, look, we acknowledge that the dealers, like, we have dealers that are using Tintwiz and they're killing it. And it would be better if all their dealers use Tintwiz, because then more of their dealers would be killing it. So what they have done is partnered in for a version of Tintwiz that is Solar Gard branded and Solar Gard supported. And what that means is things like canned proposals and documents and sales resources and like how to do things are going to be preloaded in there, continue to be preloaded in there. And then on top of that, it's going to serve as a link between territory managers and user and dealers so that those TMs can better support dealers both for their on individual projects and for their business growth in general. And by doing that, you know, I just feel like this is a big step for Tintwiz, a big step for our industry, a big step for Solar Gard, because I believe how that's going to come together is like, it's going to level up how people use Tintwiz. It's, you know, tapping into a resource like Solar Gard and all that Solar Gard has and saying now we can have that resource and work together constantly, not just one time, but now constantly work together to put those resources into Tintwiz where it can be accessed by dealers on the fly and constantly added to and updated. And that then helps shape us as Tintwiz as to what we're doing. Because it in a way, it alleviates a little bit of a load off of us and then takes what was a little bit of a load on us and say, let's make this a giant asset for our community. And like something that and coming out of that Panorama Pro dealer in Fort Worth, I feel like very, very like from my heart, I can say that, you know, we hear the term dealer network often, right? Everybody has a dealer network. And what I saw Solar Gard, what I see them doing, what I saw them doing at their community, and I saw them doing at the booth, and I see what they're really building a network in the sense like they're building a network to where like you feel networked with the other dealer and you feel comfortable talking to them and she feels comfortable asking you and like to where you guys, and I think that's really going to be changing. I think it's going to make a big bang. And, you know, over this next year or 2 years, it's going to be a big asset for those dealers, I believe.
No, I've heard that that's happening already. And when I heard it, I was like, oh, that's amazing. I here's some questions that there might not be answers to, but this sounds like such a cool, again, I'm going to make it sound simple, and it's probably something that's like a pain in the ass to do. But like, you know how you can have people on your account that are like a sales or installer, admin, whatever the different categories are.
Yeah.
Do you think one that would be cool to have is like rep, and maybe like on like just on that Solar Gard version where you could literally give your rep access to your inventory and show them a project?
I think we already have Mike from Florida.
That's
what they're going to be doing.
The idea.
That's the idea.
So like it's if you
so
can,
even like maybe even ordering could be.
Oh, so that's the thing. So I'll give you an example.
Oh,
See,
man.
now I'm gonna,
dude,
like,
this is like
so
this is game changing.
This is like the way it works. If as a Solar Gard dealer, you can come into Tintwiz and say, I want to join the Solar Gard network. Then your account gets converted into that Solar Gard like version. Okay. Your account is still private. It's yours.
Yeah.
Nobody has access to that. Now you optionally can then invite your TM to be part of that group. Now with that so you're doing that as a manual thing, acknowledging, because again, nobody has, they acknowledge the privacy they want you to have as well. But once you add your TM as a member to your business, now you're in a project, right? And you're in this project and you have a question about the type of glass, you have a question, you need to order film, you have a question for anything. You go to the notes, you put thing in there and you tag your TM. And your TM is going to then reply in your notes. So you've brought your TM into your communication. They can look at the pictures. They can answer your question. They can approve a special warranty purpose for a project. They can do whatever within there, as opposed to you contacting them, telling them about it, emailing them, sending them the pictures, blah, blah, blah. They're in that project.
This is going to change the industry.
That's what I'm saying. Because
like, I don't think I just had a week-long back and forth with Miguel where he was super responsive and we got a project approved and done and all of that. But like, if I was able to just put him in the project,
they're just in the project, just tag them and then they reply. And like, that's the thing is like what I've tried to do with Tintwiz, whether it be how we present ourselves at events, how we communicate, pricing, everything is like, how would I have liked it if I'm on the other end of that? I think about when I was a dealer, and one of the things that killed me when I was when I was a dealer was I always felt very supported when I had a question. Hey, what type of glass can we put this film on and so on? But like you'd see reps and like when they tried to support us outside of those questions, it was like, hey, we have a new film. Can we come in for a lunch and learn and teach you about it? And then I'll try and take that and then teach my salespeople and then I'll remember it. And like it's like, how are you guys doing? What can I help you? And so this links all of that. This bridges it. Like you're actually a partner. You're not on the outside wondering. You don't have to like call me every 6 months. It's like, we're partners here. And like, that's what I'm saying. I do believe. So like, if you do have to put your email address, another email address in to send, I get it. But the big picture is like, you're missing out, not you, though some are going to miss out potentially on what can be done because they're focused on what can't be done.
And this explains why you're not focusing on AI right now, because you clearly are the person who's supposed to be in charge, because that I think is way more important.
But we'll get
that's a way better idea to be working on. So like,
well, and yeah, thank you for saying that. And I, as the public, thank you to Solar Gard for seeing the value, because they're like, that's all it is like the same way. Like, look, when I say our strategy with things like when you started with Tintwiz, my focus is you guys, right? Like if you need something, it's you guys.
100%.
Cody, it's Tintwiz, it's you guys. It's all the users. It's the users. We're not focused on the non-users. We're focused on the users. And like, when someone like Solar Gard says, hey, we see the value. How can we make this better for our dealers? You've got my focus, because if you see the value, I'm in. I'm not worried about convincing somebody who doesn't see the value. It's the value. And that's why, like, when you guys are sharing your successes and saying how Tintwiz helped, and other dealers say, Tintwiz got me this proposal, or like whatever, to help me and whatever. It's like, it's the best thing in the world. That's what I want. I'm not here to sell a product, but I want to see the results, like that's what it's about.
Oh, we're definitely seeing them, and we can see the whole industry kind of changing from the whole community that you're creating. So
thank you. Well, I said it.
It's
another thing from Gary Vee that I liked, and I feel like you guys. I'm sharing this because it's a little thing that keeps me like giggling inside. I feel like it's something that's you're in the same path, because you're doing podcasts now for over a year. You're creating all this content, and you're going to be able to look back on this content, right? Like 10 years from now, there's young Ricky Miller. And remember when Ricky predicted this and said this? And Gary, that's where I got it from, is I'm watching Gary go like, hey, look at me when I was like, with my glass of wine. And like, I'm saying like, I was following Gary, like not that I'm sure plenty of people followed him longer, but like I was one of those people who were following him well before he started talking about Musical.ly. And like Musical.ly turned into TikTok, but it was Musical.ly at the time. And he was going, get on Musical.ly, get on Musical.ly. And me and Betsy, my wife, got on Musical.ly, right? And then like she would do like, it was voiceovers it was like you were playing a song and you were kind of like lip syncing to the song. Yeah. That was basically what most people were doing. And like, I remember I might've did a few, like I really, if it's still out there, my God, I hope not. But she did a few too. And like, it was one of those things where Gary's like, it doesn't matter. And people were like, he'd be reading questions like, how as an adult, do you want me to do this? And they're like, doesn't matter, blah, blah. And then eventually Musical.ly turned into TikTok. And then if you were doing that already, you were like built for that. So anyway, what I'm saying is, I've said it from the very first podcast. If you go back to Tint Wisdoms, those who use Tintwiz will win. I believe that they will win. And like, I feel very good about that. Moving in the future. And those are things that I want to go back and be like, see it.
I think when you know the origin of it, you realize why you were that confident.
Yeah,
you had built it to win in this industry.
Yes.
Like tremendously, and knew that it worked.
Yeah.
So like your confidence in the product is
not because I did it with the product.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I know it's simple, and it's not a complicated thing in general. I'm just saying like window film in general, it's actually not that complicated, right? Not. Like you need to go do a good job. You need to talk to the customer. You need to have a way to market and get yourself out there. You need to be consistent, right? You need to work 5-6 days a week. When things are slow, that doesn't mean you're not working. It means you're working on different things. It just means you don't have an install. It means you don't have a sales call. It doesn't mean you have nothing to do. That means you have a lot to do, because you don't have any installs or sales calls. There's a lot to do to make that happen. But if you do all those steps and you do them consistently, whether you're on Facebook and anybody knows about you or not, you will be successcable, right? Like
100%.
Like,
1,000%.
Boom, boom, boom. Like that's
1,000%.
1,000. So anyway, I know you guys are going to get to look back, and that's another beautiful thing about this. 10, 20, 30 years later, your kids are going to have, here's dad, like, he was my age then, and look, like.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've always like kind of thought about with podcasts in general, and comes from Gary Vee, the idea of like looking back and like, imagine if like Steve Jobs documented the whole build of Apple. Like how cool would that be to watch? Not that I think I'm going to be Steve Jobs, but like it's made me think of it in all aspects of life. Like if you look at my camera roll on my phone, as I scroll through it now, it's like almost all video. And then I get back to a certain part of the timeline and it's like mostly photos and like a couple of videos, and then it's like all photos. And it's like the technology now allows us to record everything all the time. And it's like, my dog just passed, and like I've got 20 something hundred pictures and videos of my dog that I was like able to go through the timeline and look through, and it was like, okay, like all these cool moments with the kids and stuff. And it's like, man, we got to keep doing this with everything in our entire life. Like I've been saying for the longest time, and now it's going to happen. It's going to happen here. I didn't tell you
family
yet.
podcast.
Yeah. I already got Graham wants to do it. I want to have our dad's mom, grandma in, she lives here in town. She's got like, and I'm not going to put it on this podcast. Like I want to do a podcast with her
do it.
and just post it out there so that like we, the family, have access to it. I want to do that with as many family members and stuff as possible going down the road.
While
and
you
it's
can.
like, yeah. And just keep doing them randomly over time, and just like, why not have those conversations right now while you can, and then have it documented. Right. But like people in the future are going to have that to look back on. Like right now I can't go watch a video of great-great-grandparents. It didn't exist. Yeah. Now it does exist. So it's like we're at the dawn of people being able to leave a footprint that actually sticks for a long, long time if we don't melt it all down, which I'm pretty optimistic.
Videos, they'll put them in a little doll that looks like you, and AI is going to.
Yeah. Well, what's crazy already right now, just the pre-made memories that pop up in Apple, like well, I was able to I named my dog in there. So like you can click on them and a whole file of them comes up, and you can do a memory video that it automatically generates. Imagine when AI is able to take your entire history of videos and you're able to tell it, hey, make me a documentary of 2024, and like use the music that I was listening to at that time as like the soundtrack.
Right.
And then boom, you've got it. Like,
speaking of your family,
how cool is that?
How proud is your dad watching you guys take over this company in the last few years and thrive? Like he has to be over the moon. Is that not? Is that like?
No, absolutely.
Like that has to be such a fulfilling, from both sides. You being able to do it and him being able to be there through it, right?
No, yeah, no. He, I think his biggest thing was he saw when it got to the point where all three of us were running the company together, because that's always been his vision.
You two in this show?
Yeah. He always wanted us three to run the company together. And like the route that it took to get there, like you would never think that was going to happen. Then all of a sudden for it to all converge. And then unfortunately with the stroke and everything, how everything got pulled together, like the first time we had him on, that's when he said like, I don't check my phone no more. And to us, that was the moment of like, yeah, we did it.
We made it.
Like the fact that he's not looking at bank accounts, credit cards and stuff like that. Cause like beforehand, while he was still kind of phasing himself out already and already handing the reins over, it was still like phone calls of like, what's happening with this job? What's with this? And then when like that cut off completely. And then when he openly admitted like, yeah, I don't care. Like I do care what you guys are doing.
And
but
I think he specifically said, I don't worry about the business anymore.
Yeah.
That was like, that's pretty cool. Although he's kind of a little full of it. When I was here the other night,
I shouldn't say that. He literally called me this morning and asked me what we were doing.
Yeah,
today.
he's still
Is he a user of Tintwiz or no?
So no.
Yes, but he
doesn't.
He knows how to use it.
No, so this is even worse. I was down here Friday night. I never left. We had so much stuff to still happen here, and bay needed to be cleaned and all kinds of stuff. I went home at like 9 the next morning. But while I was here, I kept getting phone calls from him at like 1 a.m, 3 a.m. He's watching me on the cameras. What are you still doing down there? Go home and go to bed. I'm like, I'm not. I'm getting stuff done. I learned this from you. Leave me alone. Like
I'm teaching my kids right now.
So he still does call and stuff. But hearing him say he's not worried about anything anymore was like, that was nice.
One thing I look forward to is a selfish thing with this academy is like, my son is really taken to like when I bring him to work, he loves going to daddy's workhouse. And like, I told him like, after like showing him the pictures of the walls and stuff, I was like, when this is all done, bud, Papa's going to come down and teach you. And in this funny moment, me and him were driving away. I just picked him up from their house and he goes, Dad, why wouldn't you train me? You're the best. And I was like, I just won and everything. So I was like, when he said it to me, I was like, oh God, kid. I was like, buddy, who do you think trained daddy? He's like, Papa. I'm like, does that answer your question? He goes, yeah. I'm like, okay. Yes. I said, I'm still going to teach you, buddy, but you're going to learn from Papa first. Like you're going to learn from everybody. But like that moment for me, because I know my dad's already been talking about it with him too.
Yeah.
I look forward to selfishly capturing all that content and watching them do it. And like, cause like, even my son's like, can I come on the podcast? Like he wants to sit down. We're going to get like all the young kids together and just put mics in front of them and see what happens.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then go from there.
Did your dad ever compete?
No. No, but he does have something that I don't have. Someone that he's trained win. So that's my next thing is I want to someone that I
got that too.
Win.
Yeah.
I helped train you a little bit. You're my little brother. I definitely was one of your first trainers. So I get to say that too. So you are the only one that can say that. I just found something to get him on.
First off,
you're the only one that hasn't trained someone to win out of his knee.
Have I watched you install? Yes.
Hey,
you ever showed
oh,
me
you know what?
anything?
You're right.
No.
You have trained me.
Ricky.
You have trained me.
Yeah,
so you got it. You got it. You got it then. Oh, you already got it.
Listen, I got a bigger challenge than your son to train to win. He's right over there.
Black Glass Joe.
Black Glass Joe just walked in.
Can you train him to win?
Oh, we can drink on here now. We're in our own
Yeah,
studio.
sure, but yeah, no, it's yeah. I've already put the list out for Joe to come join. But yeah, no, it's even beyond like my son. Even though I really, if he takes to tinning and he really wants to do it, if I can, by the time he turns 12 to 13 years old, if I can fit him in any competition that's actually tinning, so I think WFR will allow it to where like I'll make him. He's an employee. I want my son at like 12, 13 just to go destroy. Yeah. Which like by the time if he stays in here with what he has access to now is like, here, I can have you train on every single window possible.
Yeah,
and no excuses.
If you're down, if you want to keep tinning, just keep tinning.
If you're down for Reno, we can see if the magazine watches this. But like, I'll help you. We can make fake pay stubs, Photoshop everything, fake ID for your son. Bring him in. He's 13. You said?
No. What he's going to be by next. He'll be 6.
Okay, bring him in at 6. He's going to compete and he's going to tell people he's 18.
And so this is actually an idea we had, even though we haven't put any time into the training part of it yet, is thank you. I've got teenagers who haven't really tinted that much. Bringing them in here, train them up and take them, even though they've only had a short period of time to be trained, and see what they can go do.
That's awesome.
I don't know if they'd
come
want
into the industry.
None of them wants to at this point, and I haven't done a very good job of having them in here. Like
you got to get a taste of the real world, and then come back around.
Yeah,
I really, really like what you're doing, Dad.
The problem is like we growing up, we kind of had no choice. Like at the beginning stages of the business, them struggling, it was like you're out of school, it's summer, whatever. Like they're not paying for daycare. We're gonna be at the shop, and we can help. And so that's kind of how we started and learned. We haven't had to do that with our kids because of the point that the business is at now. So I brought my kids in during the summer, and like I know you bring Luca in on Saturdays right now, and like they've come in and they've helped, but they've always they've definitely been coddled, and I give them everything. Where our parents made us work for stuff, and I should probably make them start working for their stuff.
Well, I have my perfect in for that. Like unfortunately, my son got introduced to Roblox recently, and it's like he wants to buy things. I'm like, buddy, none of my money will ever be spent buying you Roblox or Bucks, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, it's Robux, dude. Come
I
on,
was
get
like,
with it.
It's never gonna happen. But when you come to work with Daddy and you do that, I'll give you a list of things to do. You get those things done, you can make some money, and if you want to spend it, have at it. Because that's how my dad got me into working. Was I wanted a motorcycle, I wanted a dirt bike, and he's like, "You want it? Go earn it." So I started working, and that's how, like, from there, I'd work for the summer, and I would get paid-ish. And then eventually I was able to get the dirt bike. And then from there, it just kind of got to a point, like even getting through high school, I realized like, all right, I actually enjoy doing this. I'm pretty good at it. And then getting out of high school and then fighting the competitions, then I was at a point like in my early 20s, like, no, I know I'm good at this. I want to go compete. And when I found out about the WFCT event, because we were doing like the bug back window at SEMA, where they, see how fast you could shrink it. And then that's where I got told at that booth, the rep's name is slipping my mind, but he's like, you should go compete in this. And he showed it to me. And I was like, oh, I'm going. I went to Louisville in 2012. And that's where it's like, that was finally at a point where it's like, all right, this is something that thankfully my dad has taught me. I actually really enjoy doing this. And now I was at a point where it's like, I know I'm really good. Like, I know in my mind, I was like, I know I can go win this. And that's the one thing I hate about the fact that WCT, it's like auto was the first thing I competed in. And I still have yet to make a final in it. I've competed in it, I think 8 times now. Wow. Yeah, 8 times. And it's bugs me that I've yet to sniff the finals. And
we've always handicapped ourselves, though. We've been using computer cut for so long. If you're not hand cutting every day, the time on that
but my first win for flat glass, that's nonsense, because I literally installed like 300 square feet that year. And then when I was like, I'll do flat glass, just because I thought I'm there, might as well, if I get another chance to win some money, why not? That's just why I started doing PPF competitions too. there was zero reason for me to be in the PPF competition 2015. I sucked. I was horrible. I was just literally, I went into that one going, don't take last. Like, and that's unfortunately where my confidence was with that installation. But going to watch everyone compete, I realized like, hold on, what are they doing? And then I got explained like, oh, that's a clay bar. You use that before you install. Like, oh, you do. Whoops. Yeah. And like, I was able to grow so much from that competition because of that. But it's one of those things. I got lucky that we were in a small business where my dad he didn't really sell me on like, you should be a tinner. He sold me on, do you want to earn something? You got to work for it. And then I just fell into the fact that like, oh, I think I'm pretty good at this. And then being surrounded by tinners constantly. Like, yes, my dad trained me, but I have so many different people that influence the way I install. Like one of our original installers, Rod, he's the one who showed me how to be fast. Like he showed me it can be done. And then I knew what the quality was my dad expected. And I was lucky enough to able to merge those two together and then just start perfecting my craft from there. And then the tin off showed me that you can always learn something. I still go to tin offs now where it's like I see something being done
every time.
I'm like, wow. Like I got lucky at WFR. I was able to pair up with Brian Cohen in PPF teams. Like I felt like I knew nothing compared to him. Like it was a 2-hour masterclass. I was lucky for me.
Perfect.
Oh, it was great. It was fun. Like everything he was explaining, I knew what he was. As soon as he said to me, he only had to say it to me once because I understood it instantly. And it was one of those things like, why haven't I been doing that for the past 10 years? God, I'm a dumbass.
Yeah.
But,
that's how it is.
Yep.
I actually PPF'd a $4.5 million car today.
When?
Yeah. The McLaren at the Expel booth. Yeah.
They were letting people just throw material on that?
They were.
Oh.
I wouldn't say they were just letting people throw material. They were doing a demo and they asked Kado if he would like to do it. So him and one of their staff were doing it. Like he did it.
I thought they were just letting
but it wasn't
people
just
come
like,
here.
It wasn't like shrink this back window really fast. Like it was a demo.
It was controlled.
Yeah.
Controlled environment.
They knew he wasn't gonna,
Yeah,
hopefully.
they hoped. The Canadian guy.
We have to go back tomorrow. I never even went over to Expel. We were only there for a very short period of time.
Let's see how the day goes.
Yo, what, 4 more days?
Yeah, but at this point, we usually get a couple passes. And what we'll do is we'll filter the passes through everybody in the shop. Like,
bleep this.
Bleep what? I know. Yeah, please.
Everybody has their own passes.
Yeah. Okay. Everyone has their own passes. Yeah. Allegedly, we pass badges around. Allegedly. Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah, whatever.
Everyone has their own passes.
What are all the after parties happening that you guys know about?
All right. So after this, there's golf at Atomic Golf for GeoShield. Like
tonight?
Today.
Ooh.
Atomic Golf GeoShield. Tomorrow, there is the Expel party at Live at the Fountain Blue. There is, I think it's at Live, right? Live's here. Okay. So it's at the Fountain Blue. There's also the Dub magazine party.
That's at Dre's, isn't it?
I think it's at Dre's, and featuring Exhibit, and then is it Exhibit? Yeah, and then
Pin My Ride.
Thursday, there's the Eastman at Dre's, and I think tonight is Avery at Dre's. Dre's gets
everything.
So tomorrow I think it's
Where's the Solar Gard?
Thursday Solar Gard.
Thursday. Sorry, Thursday Solar Gard at Brewdog.
Yeah,
and
is that where it was last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, that place is cool.
Yep, very indoor outdoor, great vibe.
That place is
super cool.
Yep. And then Friday is the parade.
Friday's the parade out of the.
Friday
show.
morning. Well, this will already be out, so it won't matter. But we're gonna do that jujitsu meetup.
It's perfect.
You coming?
Eric and Joe are gonna do jujitsu.
No, I'm not going anywhere in your joke. It's thing about jujitsu is you want very skilled, trained people to roll with, not like hyped people that want to and
you gotta stay away from
twist
Joe,
his arm a little harder.
No, I feel it. I don't.
Oh, actually, you know what? That makes sense. I'm not rolling with Joe because that's the only way he's gonna be able to win is take out his competition.
Yeah,
exactly.
Nah, if he's been training for 3 years, he's probably under control. I'd trust him.
I'm trained at tapping out and running. That's what I do.
Well, Armando, our lead flat glass installer, he's got a gym here in town, and he's going to do a meetup at 7 on.
Is that how you met
Friday
him?
morning. Yeah, Yeah.
Just guessing. I don't know. I feel like that's you're
Yeah,
so good at
actually, story I
networking.
met him's kind of crazy. The gym I go to, he's a black belt under Walter Cascow, he's got gyms all over the world. That people that are his black belts that have started gyms in other places, and he's got like 5 or 6 locations here in town. He's here in town. A buddy of mine from elementary school through high school started training with him right out of high school in like 2003 because he started fighting MMA.
Wow.
And he's been a black belt for I don't even know how many years now, forever. His wife's also a black belt, and she's been winning a bunch of. She's like black belt world champion, masters. She just won Pans recently. She's built a big female class for our gym. But Armando is a black belt under Walter, and like joined the gym when Chris, the guy that runs my gym, when he was my instructor, when he was like a purple belt is when Armando joined. So he's kind of like helped train him too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. Like we talk jujitsu all the time. And
What
if
belt
I
are
can,
you?
I get over there train. I'm still a blue belt. The last year and a half, I haven't been training as much. I was like supposed to be getting promoted to purple belt, and that was right when we decided we were gonna do the 100-miler last year.
Get the purple.
So
belt.
I
Stick
stopped
with it
training
after
as much.
that.
Yeah.
Stick with
Yeah.
the purple.
Put
belt.
Tintwiz on it.
Well, that's why I'm like, I'm not even in a rush to put that on. Like, I went
for blue
this
before
last
he
year.
gets
I've been
converted.
like 2 or 3 times. It's been bad. But the couple times I went, it was good classes. I had good roles. I actually like hung in with everybody that like wore blue belts with me, and now they're purple belts. Like I still felt comfortable. And
You find like you
I
get
know I'm like-
rusty if you skip a little bit.
huh?
You get rusty if you skip a little
And
bit.
you know what's funny is I still consume a lot of the content. Like I'll watch a lot of YouTube and like shorts on like people showing moves and stuff. And the couple times I've gone back, I've actually been able to like apply new stuff that I've learned without even rolling. So
Nice.
I feel like I've
You
done
understand the concept.
like, yeah, like it's,
You a good big Gordon
Yeah.
Ryan fan?
oh yeah, big time. So
All
actually
right.
the toe hold sandals, these
Yeah.
right here, the,
These amazing
Yeah,
gifts that
so-
you
Oh, it
created.
is actually
so
have
my
Gordon Ryan's
pair
feet in
right
them.
here, I
How
have a
do I?
post. Yeah. So Gordon Ryan's a part owner of this company.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So he actually, after we struck this deal to make these sandals with toe hold, because they actually, we did a Tesla for him. And then we did, I got sent out on a sales consultation, and I noticed his name, and he's been on the Cleared Hot podcast with Andy Stumpf before. And I had just listened to it, and I'm like, no way, is this really who I think it is? And like, I like look his name up on Spotify even before I show up and go, oh, look at the picture, and like get out the car and at his new facility here in town, it's him, and he's wearing a Cleared Hot podcast t-shirt. So like I walked in and started telling him like, dude, I listened to all of the Cleared Hot podcasts. I've watched your episode. Like I love what you're doing here. Gave him a bid for security film, and then like we actually like traded him to come on the podcast and make some sandals. And
It's amazing.
yeah, so it was a really cool experience. That was like a connection from.
meant
And
to
it's
be.
funny is they talk about these all the time on Rogan, but yeah, Gordon Ryan's he's like a part owner in this now, and he's promoting it all the time. At ADCC,
Dope.
they were like one of the main sponsors. If you go back and watch ADCC footage from this year, this logo is like, where'd I put it? Oh,
That's
it's right
the Film
there.
Pros Nation
It's on the
logo.
shelf.
Shout out Film
Oh
Pros
yeah, I
Nation.
forgot I switched hats because Film Pros gave me this
That
sweet hat.
logo.
Yeah,
This hat?
yeah. So that logo was like the main logo for ADCC, like all over the place this year. Like, but Gordon Ryan's like, I think the VP or something now.
Dope.
So after these got made, so when he got them done, he actually put them up on his display wall, and he posted a story of it, which I was like, if the small chance for some reason
Yeah,
Eric's
I'm-
following him and he sees him, is what it is. That's actually awesome. But like he posted a couple stories of them being finished, and then he had sent us a text. Gordon was in the store, and like he saw him, and he's like, "Oh, I love those." He like took them
He
off.
wanted
like,
a pair.
He put them on.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
He wanted a pair. He's like, they're already, those 4 are already, they've already bought. They're for a customer. And he goes, what do you ask him? He's like, I'm trying to remember what he
I
said.
texted him back and was like,
Take a pair.
no, I was like, he could sign a pair if he wants. Like,
Well, I made sure the pair that he stood in, I made sure they went to him at least, just
Yeah.
because I know how big of a
Amazing.
fan
That's
he is.
awesome.
That's so
Yeah.
nice of you.
Oh,
Yeah, for real.
Yeah,
Thank you so
yeah.
much for making these. They are unbelievably cool.
dude, they're
looking,
so
and
sick.
Oh,
They're
they're
so
awesome.
sick.
Hold them up.
Oh, I'm sure Jordan has a picture somewhere. You can just add
Yeah.
and post.
But yeah, I think Gordon said something along the lines with, he's like, those are for tint. He goes, I like tint. And it's like, 'cause he loved the way the purple, purple was stained
so
with
nice.
the elephant strap. And I was
We
like,
just gave him the logos and like the color we wanted,
Run
and
with
he
it.
kind of ran
Yeah.
with it. Yeah.
just do your thing.
But he's like a perfectionist, man. These things take like 200 to 500 steps to produce. They're all handmade here in
Wow.
Vegas.
Shut the fuck
Yeah,
up.
so his new facility that we just tinted is made it to where he's ramped up production capability. But like these are like legit, will not break. Brian Callen, that's on
Yeah, I would say,
Joe.
yep.
He's a part owner, and he's always talking about promoting. He
Uh-huh.
had like the world's strongest man. They got a reel on their Instagram where he tries to pull it apart and he can't. Like they're like indestructible.
Speaking of, are you do you ever watch Fighter and the Kid still, or listen
Oh
to
yeah, I
it
listen
rather?
all the time.
So are you like? I'm just curious. Like, do you keep up with? Like, are you a big Brendan Schaub fan? Not so much.
I like him.
Yeah, I was
Is there
wondering.
been like recent controversy?
It's
or
not
something?
recent. It's like years long. Like that. It's we don't have to go. I was just curious.
No,
but
I don't
like,
know. It's-
basically, like that show became like real popular, and then like it basically became like popular for people hating on it. Like there's Reddit communities like enormous.
Really?
Like enormous. You don't
See,
understand. Like
in
there's
my-
more content around making fun of the podcast than there is
Really?
coming out promoting the content. So like now it's like the one I still listen to it, but it's
Yeah.
like there's this different.
I didn't even know that.
Oh,
but what's
gosh.
funny is my new view on content, especially because we've had stuff with more interactions. When stuff starts getting negative interactions, and this is, I think, why probably social media is a
Yeah.
cesspool,
Yeah.
is I actually get excited about it now. Like, cool, this person that's hating is actually driving
boosting
engagement. They're
Yeah.
they're like helping it. So
Yeah.
oh, anytime I see negative comments like on any of our stuff, it's a
Love
funny
So
post.
it's kind
Oh,
of
there's
weird.
channels dedicated.
love-
yeah,
Uh-huh.
it
Thank
makes
you.
me feel a little
Yeah.
gross,
Engaging,
but
right.
it's like I know that that's the fact. Like at the end of the day, it's math. There's an algorithm.
Mhm.
And things that for some reason, like the windshield video we've got where
I think it's like
Rob
500, 600,000 views on Instagram. It's our highest video.
and
just literally
on
us talking about
TikTok, it's
tinting
gotten
windshields.
over 1 million. And it's because he's talking about tinting a windshield dark and like the way it was clipped. Like we're talking about in that actual podcast how we don't do them dark. All we do is 70% for heat rejection. But the way the video comes off, it leads with a picture
You
of a
guys are doing
dark windshield.
5%.
So the
Black
comments in there of people getting in
Hilarious.
arguments with each other over how stupid it is to do your windshield dark, or how I murder out everything all black, and then people responding to each other in arguments, and it's like that video's just gone insane. Like
Yeah.
so that part.
It's comedy
Yeah.
though too.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's not
that's
even
the other
like
thing,
hate.
too.
It's kind of comedy
yeah,
around
some of
it.
some of it,
But
you know,
I was
is
just
like
curious.
people not being. So I'm sure there's a lot of that too.
Shout out
on there.
Brendan Schaub and
Yeah. No, I am actually a big fan of his. Like I follow
Yeah.
his Instagram and stuff too. so.
yeah, thick boy, whole deal. Yeah.
Yeah, he actually liked one of our stories,
Yeah.
which was us posting one of our reels of shrinking a windshield, and it was the audio for it was like funny,
White?
huh?
Oh, wow. Which one?
No, it was the funny one that was like a comedian saying something, and like, ooh, I didn't know what's that like.
I
It's
bet Jordan would know which one that is.
it's one that popped pretty good, but Brendan Schaub liked the story when we
Yeah.
posted it, and I noticed it when I was looking at the story. Like, holy crap! Like
That's cool.
that's pretty cool. That's random too, but it was definitely because the audio was something that was funny. So it was
Yeah.
like seeing stuff like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. How long we been doing this? This is gonna be a long one, huh? Nice. We got our own studio now. We can go as long as we want.
Yeah.
Where do you
I don't
guys
know
got to
how-
beat to?
Where?
Do you got to
Top golf?
beat anything? Like,
Toledo?
do we have any deadlines?
Oh,
or
no. I mean, the only
I-
thing we were gonna
I
do was
gotcha.
the
5 to 7.
GeoShield. Is this gonna be edited out or no?
No, absolutely not. Because if someone's
Mm.
listening to the conversation this
I'm
much,
just kidding.
they
No,
get to
the only
hear
thing we
all.
have to do, I don't know timing wise, like how that's gonna work out. But
I just wanted to make
I
sure
always
because
go
we
with the
didn't talk
flow.
about it before. Where this is the first time having someone here and realizing that we could end up talking for 4 hours and not
Right.
realize we just missed something.
2 hours goes by like
Yeah.
Oh, no, that was probably the one thing I'm looking forward to the most is the fact like this week we have it even still kind of scheduled where we're kind of pigeonholed into an hour and a half if we want to go the longest. So we have like a 20-minute break. But because we have so many people here, we've just been literally throwing out, lures in as many places as possible. Like see who we can hook to say, you want to come on? Yeah. All right, cool. You're in town. And it's like, I've just been, every person I've asked, like, they say yes. I'm like, all right, my sister's going to contact you. She'll let you know what's available. And we're going to try to do 4 a day for the next 3 days.
Wow.
It's so cool that you have this studio and like you're in a city that everyone comes to every year at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
you're
that
already
was another one of
set
like
up.
I'm like always like making like pros and con lists, and like the idea of doing this, like my list on the pro side was like
The fact that SEMA happens every year at
Yeah.
the same time and
Yeah.
everyone comes. There's
Yeah.
always a
Yeah.
zillion people here.
Well, the great thing is now with this, like after this week, if we're able to fill all the slots, which even if we don't, we already have plenty enough lined up to where we're going to be at least like a month or 2 months out of being able to release them kind of how we want. But at the same time, we have the capability now where if someone is randomly popping up in town,
Mhm.
either a rep or anything like that, we can just pull them into this room and we can have a conversation.
Yeah.
Like beforehand, it was like we had to like, all right, we have this day at the beginning of the month. We have to get 4 people, and that's the only day we can do it in because we were using someone else's studio. Now we can do it whenever we want. Now with the backlog that we will have and then being able to pull people in, it's like even if we see it more fit to like, all right, we're releasing this one next week because we feel it's more prevalent to release this one next
Yeah.
week, we can have the capability to actually turn it around. Because before it was like we recorded 4 and they would take like 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks usually. And then we'd start getting them back with the reels. And it's like we started pressing up against time. So where if you didn't fill all 4 slots, like that next month, like you had to get the people in, you had to get it edited down. Like it created a lot of let's say stress with getting it edited and cut down to where we know we can stay consistent. Because that's always my biggest thing. I think we've only missed 1 week, and that was only because we were in a transition from them editing to us editing, and it's like we had something to still get from them, and then unfortunately we had a bunch of corrupted audio. Like we've lost at least
5 or 6.
one guy twice, which thankfully he's a local
so rough.
auto body shop that like he's literally around the corner. We do all of his work, and it's like the second time I had to tell him like, dude, audio shit again. I'm sorry. And I was like, dude, the studio's about to be up. We're gonna have it in house. We'll be able to control everything, and then we'll be able to take as much out of it as possible. Because to say that we won't lose audio again is probably a lie.
Yeah, how's the
Probably
audio
won't.
been, Jordan? Has it been good? That's the
We're
other
getting
thing is now
thumbs
we
up.
got Jordan listening in real time. So I think the times that but not having someone listening real time, and that's the other thing. We've got headphones, so we could wear them too. We just didn't go into that yet.
we're
I feel like
I mean,
that
it
might
sounds
be
nice
another.
like this too.
Yeah,
Well, the one thing I did like about the headphones, like we did at the Wiz Castle, was being able to know when you are talking over someone or talking in general, or just in the fact that you can hear if all of a sudden the audio drops. You know, for the most part, like, all right, we kind of have to stop talking now because we have to figure
Yeah,
out
'cause that's
what just
like-
happened.
if somebody would have been listening the previous times, we maybe would have caught it and not had half of an episode that's completely garbage. You know?
Yeah. So it's,
Lessons learned, just like tinting a
And-
window
yep.
or whatever.
but no, this has been very nice. I'm looking very much forward to being able to do this.
It's an amazing setup.
It
The
is.
whole thing, the training, everything, and your shop being there too, and being able to have people come to do training here, and then see how you guys run stuff, like backroom stuff,
Yeah.
is incredible.
Yeah, that'll be I think a huge element of it in my mind eventually, depending on what we ended up, what tiers or levels or classes or whatever we do. But like I think that's a huge part of it. Like if you're trying to bring this back to your business, then how do you go back and make money? Like, okay, well, I can show you how to tint a window, but like how are we selling and all of that other type of
More
stuff?
classes.
Like, how are we using Tintwiz to print our labels? Like every pattern we cut right now, it's still like a couple extra steps, but it's really not hard. Every one of my guys can do it. We can go to the sheet, copy it, paste it into Excel, and have that ready to start printing out of the label maker that you gave us to print the labels for the inventory that has a label that goes on every pattern. That gets stuck on the wall. You use that as you're cutting your job before, like that type of stuff is like, that took us a long time to figure out. And that like makes your crew so much more efficient. Like, how are you going to actually take what we teach you and go apply it?
Well, that's
like,
the thing. Like somebody coming in as adding this skill to their shop, and then seeing all those little hacks that you guys took years to make, or come up with, is huge value.
It's funny. I'm going to circle back to earlier how you explained how you view Tintwiz. I will say that explanation is now kind of really hitting me in the fact of like, that's kind of how I view the academy right now. Is right now I want to aim towards auto installers. I want to convert auto installers just to be installers in general, because that's going to be what the bottleneck we're trying to alleviate right now is labor. That's going to help that. And then beyond that, as we add to the academy, it'll be what we see the user, how can we help you guys out? How can we benefit you? Like, all right, you have an installer that can install the film now. Now you know how to sell it technically. Just in the aspects, not even how to sell film, but like, this is how you pick the appropriate films for the windows you're using. You got to use these meters. Like, this is a journey that literally we started doing metering, like actually every piece of glass gets metered. That was probably a year ago, year and a half.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's the other thing is like, there's so many layers to it. Like, how can we teach you to add value to where you don't have to compete with the guy down the road that's undercutting you? Like, if you can provide so much value and come in and be confident in what you're doing, test a piece of glass, explain why you're doing what you're doing, show them that there's a tax credit available, like all of those things while you're building it into the software on your phone as you're doing it.
Tintwiz.
And at the end of a 10 to 30 to depending on how big it is, but most, I think I can 20 to 45 minutes consultation, like is like a long one. There must be on a lot of windows because I can go in and take pictures, add the windows in as measurements. I'm asking them questions as we're doing this, like all of that combined with now I've been on bids where the person had 2 or 3 other people there. Like they had us all show up like about the same time. Like she totally did it on purpose and was totally just price shopping. But the funny thing was I kind of knew it, and like in a way that as I went in, there was already somebody in there. While I'm in there taking pictures, measuring, the guy's out, like, and I saw him get in right before I get there, and he was out, and I still maybe had like another 20 minutes to go because I'm being a little bit more thorough because I'm taking pictures and I'm taking exact measurements. And I hear him say like, okay, the office will contact you back and give you an estimate later. And it's like, he's writing everything down by hand. Somebody else comes in, does something similar. And when I'm done and 2 people have already come and gone and not given them a number or anything, I pull up the proposal, show them the proposal, walk them through it. It's got pictures in there of everything, like all of that. Now I'm going to send it to you also, because if they don't decide to do it right then, now they're getting a digital version of it. Like going against somebody just doing stuff on paper and then making it, maybe they don't even get a proposal that day. Like the percentage of people that are just like, okay, you made it really, really simple for me.
And it sets you apart so much.
And you tested the glass. None of the other guys tested the glass. Like all of those things. Now I know that I've won jobs that people have told me that we were significantly more than the people that bid against us, but they didn't feel confident that those people would actually do a quality job.
Yeah. Like
that is huge. And I think that was the biggest lever for us in growing the business in the last couple of years, is like realizing like it provide extreme value and then you can charge for it because people are willing to pay for that. They don't want to be inconvenienced. They want to know that they can trust you know what you're doing. So if you can go into a sale and be confident and actually go over it that thoroughly, and it still doesn't take forever. Like it's, what do they need? What's the problem? Like, what are you looking for? Security, solar control, decorative, whatever. Like start from there. Like those types of things I think are like the biggest thing you can do.
Set you apart.
Yeah. If you can install a back window or a windshield on a car or install a roll up door, like you can learn how to get good at tinting flat glass.
And the thing is too, you mentioned like you were there maybe a little longer than the other 2 companies. However, if you take the amount of time you spent versus them, they spent way more time.
Way more time.
They left and they had to give it to somebody else. Somebody had to type it up, and they had to email it. Like they spent.
And
way
then
more
even
time.
like, so I noticed it even in like Tintwiz. Tintwiz makes us infinitely more efficient. But when I'm on a sales consultation and it sells while I'm there, and I'm able to schedule it, I'm able to send them the terms and conditions. I'm able to task the office to create the invoice and send them the invoice. And leave.
Done deal. Next time you see them, you're installing film.
Done. Right? And then everything's automated happening in the background with all the systems that we've been able to set in place because of Tintwiz. Like compared to both people aren't there. They're not quite sure at the time. It gets approved later. Like the percentage of people that it's impossible to get back a hold of to schedule. Like now you're not even giving yourself that opportunity. If you're not giving the bid, the proposal while you're there in person the first time, and even say let's 40% of people that end up going with you do it right then and there, that's 40% less people you're calling and trying to schedule. And like even with Tintwiz, now imagine with paper, like no way. Like it's not a fair playing ground. Like that's the funny thing is like, what's funny is I know that I'm going against several companies out here that I've gone against that I still see doing it over and over and over again. And it's like, I feel like I'm at an unfair advantage and I'm shouting from the mountaintop to use Tintwiz. Like, and they're still not using it.
Yep. And that's why we focus on those who use it and not those who don't.
Yeah. Because there's going to be tons of people that just don't do it.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
Well, I think that's actually probably a really good spot to wrap this up, I would say.
All right.
I can't thank you guys enough for coming down on the first podcast that we've done here. Again, everything you've done for us, thank you. Keep doing what you're doing because it's working, it's spreading, and you're influencing our industry tremendously.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I mean it when I say, like, I look up to you two and keep doing what you're doing, and you're influencing the industry. And thank you for having us on. Thank you for everything you do and for being vocal about Tintwiz on top of everything. And for these extremely cool and thoughtful shoes or sandals.
Of course.
Thank you.
No, flip-flops.
Flip-flops.
Oh, not sandals.
Not sandals.
Not sandals.
No.
Okay, I like flip-flops.
AG would not like that.
And I'm a flip-flop guy too. The only, like, it's, you don't see that because it would make no sense that I come to like a convention in flip-flops. Maybe it could now because of how cool these are, but not the one. But I'm a flip-flop person, so I'm very.
If I go to Seaman tomorrow, I'm wearing these now that I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a different level, though, you know.
Oh, I had thoughts of if we got those, if we got them a little earlier, if I was able to bring them down to the tin off, that if I made the finals, I was gonna do the finals.
Yeah, I told them that too
when flip flops.
When we were trying to like get them before the tin off, they're just like, sorry, it can't happen. I told them like, well, we're gonna wear them in this competition. Like,
But no, it actually worked out even better though, because to be able to do it here on the first podcast and everything, like it actually worked out 10 times better when it comes down to it. But maybe that's what I'll do next year. I'll beat you with flip flops on.
I'll be wearing them too, bro.
I can't wait to be back next year, but I can't wait to see this in action throughout this whole year. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah,
Saying
real.
this, I guess you can overlay a video or picture of this because it's not just this; it's what's going on the other side of that camera. That's also incredible.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what we're able to, where we're able to take it, and help give back to the industry as much as possible when it does come down to it. And it's giving us technically everything. So it's support our family growing up, and now it supports my family now, and how we're able to help grow all of our employees and stuff that come in under the fold, and like support all the families that it supports within it. And like this industry has done everything for us. So I'm just looking to give back.
And the reality too is the fact that you guys are training people, the wave that has is like Erik said, he looks up you. I've looked up you guys. Like when I went to my first competition, and the things that we can learn from people like you put food on our tables because we're able to do things more efficiently. So obviously I want to say thank you to you guys too. Thank you for supporting me back there. That's super cool.
That had to go.
Thank you for everything. Thank you for the Gary Vee presence. It means a lot. I'm super honored to be here. My first time in Vegas. First time on the podcast. First time the podcast is here. So like this is
no, we should have talked more about that. I saw your post. It's your first time in Vegas. What's been your favorite thing so far?
God, it's so hard to pick one. Like your eyes are just busy all the time. I'm like 0% into gambling or partying, and it's still incredible. It's such a cool city.
Following along on your Instagram stories, like you've made really good choices. Valley Fire is awesome, but you're doing it the right way. Stay away from the gambling and check all that kind of stuff out.
Big shout out to Dean for that.
You're doing it good, man.
Yeah,
it's good to see you out here. I'm glad you made it out.
Seems like you got a little.
Oh my God,
a little burnt up.
You see the white line there too. Yeah,
driving out to Valley Fire in a convertible, that could get dangerous.
That was the ride back. In the morning, I was balaclava because it was so cold. And then on the way back, hat backwards and just like loving the sun. Got back to the hotel room. I was like, oh no, that's awesome. Not good.
It's not a trip to Vegas if you don't get sunburned.
Yeah, that's true. Right?
That's true.
Yeah, no, it's I'll remember it forever.
Awesome.
Incredible place.
Thank you again for having us.
No, thank you.
Or thank you for coming on with us.
I couldn't think of better first guests.
No, absolutely.
Thank you.
In the new spot.
Well, you guys, you know how this works. Please keep following along. We appreciate all the support. Share, comment, like. Thank you.
Follow, subscribe. Thank you.